All right, I'm live on both, right? Yes, 31 seconds in. I am now. Welcome to your live. Have fun interfacing. Interacting with your viewers in real time. Creators must be 18 years or older. I am over 18. A little bit. Barely. Just a teeny bit. All right. All righty. We got people on here. That is outstanding. All right, now let's see if I can get through an entire live stream without even getting a warning. I doubt that that's possible, but it's not probable, but it's possible. And I'm waiting to see if anybody joins my live stream on YouTube. That does not happen much. Let's see. Somebody sent me something on an app. That's never good. Although they probably were trying to send me money. So hopefully they sent me money on an app that I can use. Nobody on my live stream on YouTube. Oh, well, that's all right. I'm doing the YouTube stuff right now just for posterity. So people can go back and look and go, oh, yeah, that's right. He did do those live streams. He said those things way before anybody else knew. That's kind of my gig. That's what I want to do. All right. Oil at 70 is a mirage. Prices are either 100 or they're 40. After the election, you'll get it. Well, I hope there's going to be a situation where we have $40 oil. It usually happens just about the time that the economy crashes and nobody can afford to go anywhere. Companies that do like transportation and whatnot go out of business, and then oil prices go down. That's deflationary, and that would be good because we've got a lot of other stuff that's very inflationary. Let's see. By the way, we are now sending troops to the Middle East. That is the worst case scenario. That's not good. We do not want to be sending troops to the Middle East. However, apparently the powers that be have decided that it's the most important thing we can be doing right now. We don't want to worry about the border. We don't want to worry about who might be coming into this country that doesn't like us. We need to worry about the Middle East because clearly that's the most important thing to the United States of America. What did they say? I know Washington said it and Jefferson said it. Something about not getting involved in foreign entanglements. Kamala says we don't have troops on the ground. Well, that's because Kamala doesn't know anything about the military, which is shocking considering that she says she's met with all of the world leaders and they all talk crap about Trump, but she couldn't name one of them. Interesting. I bought a t-shirt. I'm very happy with it. It says long range shooting. It's like golf, but for men. I live in an area that is almost exclusively rich retirees, and they play golf constantly. It literally is the only thing they do with their lives, for the most part. There are literally some of the premier golf courses on planet Earth within 10 miles of my house. Almost all of them are within 10 miles of my house. So I imagine I might offend a few people with that t-shirt. Although deep down in their hearts, they're going to read that t-shirt and they're going to go, yeah, that's true. Because golf is an idiotic waste of time and energy. Oh, and money. I would literally tell anyone in Washington, D.C., that golf is illegal until we balance the budget. You cannot play golf without going to prison until you balance the budget. The objective, what was that? The objective of golf is to play the least amount of golf. I would make it that the objective of golf was to prove to everyone that you are too old to play any other game. U.S. border agents find RPGs and IEDs near the southern border. A drastic escalation in weaponry used by cartels. Oh, that's neato. That's all we need is another war at our border. All right. Let's see. Israel's mulling a plan to indefinitely expel 300,000 Palestinians from North Gaza, where they were born. Interesting. Let's see. Wake up call amid growing violence. More churches turn to faith-based security groups. Oh, now this is interesting. Janet Yellen's warning us that policy veering off course could harm the economic trajectory. She was referring to the scrapping of certain federal government policies under the Trump administration. Yeah, because we wouldn't want to get rid of any of those hundreds of thousands of regulations that make no sense to anyone. We need those. Let's see. West Point needs a reset because it's become a liberal arts college. That's terrifying. I can't think of a degree that's less important in war than a liberal arts degree, except perhaps philosophy. U.S. index is mostly finished with slight gains today. That's an understatement. Slight gains. I believe the Dow finished at 0. Let's see. Cold plunge. Yep, I am buying one of those. Cold plunges are extremely good for you, by the way. They're not exactly a joyous event for the first month or so that you do them, but then they're awesome. What do we got here? Let's see. What do you know about UN meeting today? Hearing Kamala said she would sign. I really doubt that. I really do. And the reason I say that, no, I'm not really conservative in everything. I'm conservative when it comes to economic policy, but I'm still, a little bit of a, bleeding heart liberal when it comes to helping people. And I am definitely a tree hugger. I believe that destroying the environment is really fucking dumb. It's just stupid. But then if you really look carefully, you'll find that most farmers, most ranchers, most hunters are all conservationists too, because they understand that when you throw off the balance, the natural balance, you pay. So let's see, Kamala. Well, thanks for that. Vote for true. Oh, we got a guy who's just writing Harris over and over again. Like that's actually going to sway us. It's funny because I'm pretty sure that's how her campaign works too. They just say her name over and over again, but they're not giving us anything to chew on as far as economic policy, except price fixing, which is the worst economic policy you could possibly imagine. Literally, when you price fix, okay, look, I'm not going to say every time that you price fix. I'm going to say that the last 41 times a government has fixed prices of something, it has led to massive black markets and enormous inflation. But other than that, it's a fantastic idea. Just reading some comments, seeing what you guys want to talk about. If there's anything on your minds, I know you guys like to talk about politics a lot, which politics is basically the slave of economics. That's really the bottom line. You know, Clinton got it right when he realized that it's the economy, stupid. That's really what it boils down to. When people can't afford to, go on vacation, which leads to Airbnbs collapsing all around the country, and there are tens of thousands of them. What? Bleach blonde, what? Uh, Nice bleach blonde. Yeah, it actually is blonde. It's not bleached. I think it looks blonder with a whole fuck load of gray in it, which I'm not real happy about, but hey, whatever. At least I got hair. I mean, if it turns silver, then it turns silver. I suppose I can try to pull that look off, but whatever. Never been real concerned about my hair after the Marine Corps. This is the longest my hair's probably been in ever. This is it. I'm not a big hair guy. And part of it is because as soon as my hair touches my ears, I start screwing around with it all day long and worrying about what it looks like. And I don't have time for that. That's a distraction I don't need. Let's see. Wow, that's awesome. Zelensky stumps for Harris on the taxpayer's dime. They're using military assets to fly a foreign leader into a battleground state to undermine their political opponents. Well, that's got to be illegal as hell, right? But whatever. What what do laws even mean anymore? I mean, really, it's like, who follows the law? Well, just the commoners. You got to follow the law, but it's that old saying, the laws are for thee, not for me. Let's see. Gold stands tall, power spikes, and Russia crushes shorts. Some trades are unstoppable. That's a fact. Metal mania starts soon. Oh, yeah. Well, de-dollarization is a fact. Look, when it comes right down to it, the silver and gold will go up, and they will go up a lot. And it's just common sense. As the dollar loses value, as everybody in the world turns their back on the United States, which they already are, what happens to the power of the dollar? It goes in the toilet. We can't just bomb our way into success anymore. And now it's looking at, we're beginning to look really bad because there are a lot of countries that are not supporting what Israel's doing, and we are supporting it wholeheartedly. Let's see. Nuclear power. Okay, well, if we can get it right, then nuclear power is a great answer. But again, it's one of those where you've got to do it right. Otherwise, you got problems. New eyeglasses. Yeah, these are actually just reading glasses. But let's see. Yep, it's the economy. I didn't realize I had a bunch of comments stacking up. I lost internet service right when. I asked you the last question. Well, you better ask it again then, because I don't think I caught that last question. Wait, standard nowadays. Yep. Laws made for. Let's see. Maybe you ask again. Saying she's ahead on the polls. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I don't know. No, not at all. I think that metals are just now getting ready to finally move the way they should have been moving for several years. Yeah, exactly. The big boys are always in charge. Let's see. TMI. One going to restart. Okay. Trump. That's funny. I see that a lot. Back and forth. Trump and Harris. Whatever. Look, if you think that they can solve the problem by themselves, absolutely not. What we need is what Elon Musk keeps talking about, which is a department to end other departments. Yeah. I believe he calls it the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. Yeah, like Dogecoins. I know. He's got a hell of a sense of humor. Because he can't suppress the price much longer. That's true. Other choices. I'm wondering if you mean by political choices, because that's irrelevant. Politics is kabuki theater. Yeah, if elections, well, that's the thing. Elections used to matter. But if you remember, 80 years ago, if you go back and look at some of the old footage, it looks like they used to talk about economic policies. Now, you know, it's just politics is just for the idiots who believe in it. Why are we blindly supporting Israel? I can't answer that on TikTok, but I can answer that on YouTube. Let's see. I stopped voting when I realized the electoral college. Yeah, well, that's the point of the electoral college. We do need an anti-regulation agency. That's exactly what Elon Musk is pitching. He's saying that it's going to be a huge job because once these regulations are put in place, even when they're no longer necessary, they're just left on the books. And he explained that there was a situation with SpaceX where they didn't launch, so they dumped the water, which is potable water. It's drinking water. It's not harmful water. It's just normal tap water. They dumped it. Thanks, man. I hope that's not true, but if it is, great. They dumped a bunch of water from their launch site because when you fire up a rocket that big, you have to dump water into it. That creates steam, but it also muffles the sound tremendously. And so they dumped this water onto the platform, and it ran off and ran into the marsh that they're surrounded by. And the federal government fined them $140,000. And they said, it's water. We're in Florida. Water falls from the sky every single day. The same water. It's just water. It's not toxic or anything. And the government said, yeah, well, we know that it didn't do any damage, but you still have to pay for it. And they said, well, why? And the government said, because we won't allow you to launch any more SpaceX rockets until you pay the fine. And they said, well, but why do we have to pay the fine? And they said, because you didn't have a permit. They didn't have a permit to dump water into a swamp in Florida in the rainy season. Please. What the fuck is that? Like, that is just so stupid. So SpaceX paid $140,000 fine for not doing anything, no damage whatsoever. They put water into a swamp, fresh water into a freshwater swamp. That's the government. That's the United States government today. So we need to get rid of a lot of these regulations. No, they're not all for the government. A lot of them are private now. Extortion, that's exactly right. We got the bombs, so we make the rules. And, unfortunately, that's just the way it is in this country right now. We've managed to completely and utterly destroy the spirit of free enterprise that we had in the 50s and 60s and even 70s and 80s. And, it's getting to the point where we have to get rid of some of these agencies or we will be gone. Yeah, they sell our water from the Great Lakes to China. That's absolutely true. I know that for fact. The cycles of the moon and what? They would be fine cycles of the moon or water cycle. Not sure what that means, but okay. Can't really argue with something you don't understand. Although people do it on here all the time. They argue with me and they have no idea what they're talking about. Young people don't want to join the military anymore. Would you? I can't even imagine. I mean, a gender fluid Marine Corps. It just sounds almost hilarious. The debt clock is ticking, definitely. Let's see. How do they transport the water? I live in Michigan. Huge, huge tankers. Uh, have you seen the SpaceX deluge system? No, I imagine it's just like all the others. I mean, they dump water onto the launch site in order to A, cool everything down, but B, muffle the sound. Because as soon as the rocket motors fire up and they hit the water, they dump like 60,000 gallons. No, it's more than that. It's like 600,000 gallons that they dump as they're firing off the rockets. And it does make a huge difference in the amount of noise. So, that's the thing. How many times have you seen it where people build their house next to an airport and then they complain about the noise? It wouldn't be cheaper to drag an iceberg to China. I suppose it probably would if you had a way to then take that iceberg and turn it into water once you got it there. That would kind of be the trick, really. I'm going to try and plug my phone in because I always forget to do that. Heated water becomes steam. Steam isn't toxic. What's the point? Oh no, they didn't use it. That point, they didn't launch the rocket. And because they didn't launch the rocket, they were like, all right, well, just dump the water back onto the ground. It'll just run off into the swamp. No big deal. So they did. Cost them $140,000 because if they'd gotten a permit, the EPA would have said, no problem. That's fine. No, as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't realize China has a real issue with that. They are basically a desert. Elon's plan won't happen. No, that's absolutely right. No, if Trump doesn't get in, the government will expand tremendously. I mean, that's not even controversial. We all understand that. We all know that. That's simple logic. Look at the expansion of government in the last 3.5 years and look at the totality of what they've accomplished with it. It's idiotic. I mean, it's absolutely idiotic. The Green New Deal has literally put hundreds of billions of dollars into the hands of complete and total fraudsters, people who literally don't do anything with the money. And that's an issue. I mean, look, ask the people in New Jersey who voted because they were told that if they got wind farms, that the wind farms would make the electricity in their state much, much less expensive, and it would save the world. So they voted for the bond issue. They built the wind power, and then the company turned around and said, wow, it doesn't make as much as we thought it was going to make. We're going to have to increase your electric rates by 65% in 2024. 65% increase in electric bills in 2024 alone. That's the problem. The other problem is that when you look at GDP is supposed to be our gross domestic product, what we do with our money and what we make. Almost 50% of our GDP is government. That's not supposed to be counted as GDP. That's debt. Government is overhead. That's the thing. That some of the wind farms work, some of them don't. But how long do they work for? How efficient are they? What happens when a tornado rolls through? Or I mean, that's the problem. A hurricane, it takes them all down, and then you got to start over. It's like, wow, that's an expensive redo. When it comes to do-overs, a free throw is one thing, but an entire wind farm, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that just disappeared because of the wind. That's kind of strange. That's the way it works, and the problem is, oh my God, this is crazy. Denmark is saying, stop talking about red lines and let Ukraine unleash missiles on Russia. It really makes me wonder because I just can't imagine. Well, if I'm not mistaken, most of them are carbon fiber. We wouldn't have power in Texas without wind. I don't buy that. That doesn't sound right. See, the problem is that when you look at the total amount of power generated by these new green deals, it's usually in a few percentile. Um, am I anti? No, I'm not anti-power. I'm anti-stupid. That's what I am. I'm anti-stupid power. Um, you know, look, it's a big, big, big subject, and it's hard for most people to understand because they're told something by the government and they believe it because the government says, well, scientists say that it's true. Okay, what scientists? Well, the scientists that we hired to say it. Okay, but what if the scientists disagree with what you want them to say? Oh, well, then they lose their tenure and they never work again. No one will ever hire them, not for private industry, not for colleges, nothing. Their PhD in engineering is no longer important. Okay, so climate change. What's the deal with climate change? Well, it's a closed subject. It's already decided science, except it's not. It's not even close. As a matter of fact, we just looked back over the last 400 years, and this is a university in China that showed that all of the increases and decreases in temperature on Earth correlated directly to solar minimums and solar maximums. They're all correlated, which means that climate change, which has been happening for 4 billion years, is now mostly because of the sun. You'll burn through all the oil in the next 200 years. Then what? We have a 100-year supply of oil in Prudhoe Bay. You have not done your homework. You do not know what you're talking about. So better go home. Take your marbles and go home, because I have a lot of very wealthy clients that are Texas oil men. Texas oil men also buy lots of gold and silver from me. And I can tell you for a fact that they laugh at the idea of peak oil. They absolutely find it hilarious. You do poor research. Sure. Do you know where the largest oil field in the world is? Since you've done so much research, what good is a 100-year supply in 101 years? I hope that's a joke. I hope that's sarcasm and not stupidity. I can't tell, because I said Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. I didn't say Texas, Oklahoma. I didn't say South and North Dakota. I didn't talk about Pennsylvania. I didn't talk about the shale oil that's in Canada. I didn't talk about the Gulf of Mexico. I didn't talk about Venezuela, which is the largest supply of oil in the world. I didn't talk about Mexico. I didn't talk about any of the oil fields in North America other than Prudhoe Bay being 100-year supply. Did I? Hydroelectric's great, except fish. 100 years is nothing. Supply the planet? You really are playing an elementary school game, aren't you, friend? We don't supply the planet. Do you understand the end game here? The long game? We drink your milkshake. And then when your oil is gone, Saudi Arabia, you go back to where you were 200 years ago. And we still have all of the oil in the world left. Yeah, sure. We went over and we built all kinds of pipelines in Siberia. Why didn't we tap Prudhoe? Because that is ours. That's what happens when everybody else runs out. And the United States of America has all of the oil in the world left because we bought everybody else's first with the petrodollar for the last 50 years. You really don't think about things all the way through, do you? Most fresh water in the world? Well, that's a good question. Never really thought about it, but I would say that the largest amount of fresh water in the world would have to be the largest underground lake in the world is in North Africa, sitting right underneath the Sahara Desert. It's literally 150 feet under the Sahara Desert. It's absolutely enormous. Um, so the largest group of lakes would have to be the Great Lakes. Um, the Aral Sea is gone, so that doesn't count. Lake Baikal is the oldest lake on Earth. I don't know who would have the most fresh water. Yeah, I mean, Lake Superior is, they call it Superior for a reason. That's true. Canada has, yeah, maybe it is Canada. They have a tremendous, tremendous amount of lakes up there. To discover, they're a huge one in the Dresser in California. Desert in California, discovered in the 80s. Yeah, you're about half right. It's an aquifer. It's the largest aquifer in California, and it runs right underneath Palm Springs. How crazy is that? Palm Springs, which gets regularly up to 115 degrees in the summer, the reason that they run their sprinklers all summer long and nobody bitches about it is because they're sitting on the largest freshwater aquifer west of the Mississippi. It just runs right underneath. So they figured, well, fuck it. Let's just tap into it, waste as much water as we can, because once it gets past us, it just flows right into Baja California and out into the ocean. So explain how the entire planet will go back to the dark ages and the US can remain as it is. I didn't say that. You must be fun to argue with because you hear things that people don't say. I didn't say that the rest of the world goes back into the dark ages. I said once we use up everyone else's oil, then we have all of the oil left. And then we get to play games with everybody like Saudi Arabia does. Well, yeah, we were thinking it was going to be $50 a barrel, but then we realized that we're going to cut back production because we need to, clean a couple pipelines out or whatever and make an excuse and raise it to $70. What's the world going to do? Complain? Yeah. So what? It's called power. Literally and figuratively, power. See, that's the thing is that if we just started drilling right now and we drilled, or just even if we didn't drill, let's say we don't drill a single fucking well. Let's say we just uncork all the wells that we have. What would happen? I'll tell you exactly what would happen because this is what I do for a living. OPEC and OPEC Plus, which is a cartel, which, if you think about it, is illegal. A group of people, a group of businesses getting together to discuss price fixing is illegal in the United States. So if all the car companies got together and said, we're not going to sell a car for less than X amount, they would literally be dragged into federal court and sued for that. However, there is one cartel that is perfectly legal: OPEC, the oil producers. So OPEC would immediately drop the price of oil. And the reason that they would do that is because the price of worldwide oil affects how much you can make. So all of the wells that are on the edge would immediately be shut down again. That's exactly what they did last time. When we started to drill a lot, they said, oh shit, all right, let's put all those companies out of business. However, if the government spent half as much on helping the United States become oil independent as it spent on, I don't know, Ukraine, well, then we wouldn't have to worry about it. We could subsidize the oil and we could literally have a dollar gasoline again. No, this is actually natural. See, look, watch. Doink. It's a sunburn. No, actually, as far as who I think should be president, I think we should get 100. Well, actually, it would be a total of 535 of the best maintenance men in the United States, guys who have been fixing equipment that's old and not fixable, and they've been keeping it running with bubble gum and tinfoil for years. Millwrights, boiler workers, all the guys who actually have to sit down and figure out how to fix something right away because everybody needs it, and boy, your ass is going to be grass if you don't fix it. Those are the guys who should run our government because they're used to having to fix things. There you go. Because they have money. That's why. There you go, boiler operator. Did you use psychological or charming pricing in your silver business? Do you use psychological or charm pricing in your silver business? I just kick everybody's ass in price. I tell my clients, go look on APMEX, see what the price is. Okay, see that? And if you buy more than 5,000 ounces, this is their price. And here's my price. And they go, oh, that would save me $10,000. I go, yeah. And they go, oh, okay, I'll buy from you. It doesn't take a lot of charm to do that. I mean, thank you, because I like to think I am charming. All the wells that they used to have in the oil business. No, I'm not. No, never been in the oil business. never invested in oil and gas. Never done any of that shit. So what do I think about quantum financial system? I don't think about it at all. Why is gold going up this time of year? Because the American dollar is going down. We're devaluing the dollar, and it's about to get much, much worse. A lot worse. It must be a good business with time. I'm not sure which business you're referring to, but yeah, silver, great place to be right now. Oil, not so much, because oil is dependent on people doing things. And during a recession, all businesses slow down. Oil and gas don't come out of the same pipe. Oh, my silver business. Yeah, the reason I went back into the silver business after having an ATM business, after starting a website, after doing a lot of other things, I got back into silver in 2020 because I saw the writing on the wall. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Look, man, I'm not new to this. I've been doing this shit for 40 years, literally. Actually, no, not 40. 40 would take it back to 84, so 35 years. I've been doing this for 35 years. Okay, so if you were in oil for 15 years, you know the truth. You know that there is a lot of oil out there, and there are a lot of oil fields that are completely undiscovered still. New world currency coming in October. Not exactly a world currency. It's just the BRICS currency. But I mean, it does represent the BRICS currency will eventually, if everyone who's applied or shown interest in becoming part of BRICS, if they become part of BRICS, it'll represent 80% of the world's population. Price of silver today is about 31 bucks, which is pretty funny because in 2000 it was about 4 bucks. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's 30.93. So 31 bucks, what I said. I don't check it all the time. Let's see. Yeah, I actually have heard that oil is not a fossil fuel. Well, I mean, first of all, we know that it's not a fossil fuel. Everybody knows it's not dinosaurs. We've known that for 30 years now. There just weren't enough dinosaurs to make this much oil. So what we think is we thought that it was a broken down plant base, like all of the vegetation that was compressed under heat and pressure, and it turned to oil. But now it looks like it might actually be a type of mineral, which would be wild if they can prove that. Um, will we ever arrive at a time food will be used as currency? You better pray we don't, and I will too. I'll say a little prayer that that doesn't ever happen again. Um, 30 bucks Canadian 3 years ago. Okay, so I'm not sure, but it sounds like it might have been kind of high, but I'm not sure. I don't know the conversion rate right now. Nobody wanted bricks, but USA forced it upon them because it's abusing its power. No, that's true. Well, it's not that they didn't want bricks necessarily. It's just that it's inconvenient. Look, let's say that you're China. Do you want Russia to hold your gold? No. Okay, what if you're Saudi Arabia? Do you want China to hold your gold? No. Okay, if you're Brazil or South Africa or Turkey or many other countries, nobody trusts each other. So that's why they're all hoarding their own gold and having it delivered. See, the thing is, when people used to say, "Oh yeah," I'll give you an example. You know, Luxembourg bought 100 tons of gold. That's a lot for them, but if they bought 100 tons of gold, that doesn't mean that you shipped 100 tons of gold to Luxembourg. That meant that they owned it, but they bought it from someone else in the LBMA, which is the London Bullion Market Association, and it was stored in the vaults, and it just changed ownership on paper, but it stayed in the vault, and they had it, and it was theirs, and they could take delivery if they wanted to. But who wants to move 100 tons of gold? It's not that easy to do. A hell of a lot of security, a hell of a lot of things have to be done. So they would just leave it there. That's what's changed. Is now Saudi Arabia, we found out, just bought 166 tons or 160 tons of gold from Switzerland. They didn't tell anybody they did it. They were trying to do it very secretively, but of course, the bullion market's a small market and people talk. So we found out. So, well, basically, yeah, the BRICS wants to back their currency with gold and other resources like oil. Gold and oil would be the best things to do. The United States could easily do the same thing, but here's the problem: once you peg your currency to an asset, whatever the real, like a real asset, not some bullshit metric that some guy with a PhD in theoretical mathematics comes up with, but you peg it to a real asset. Now you have told people, I won't make any more money, this legal tender shit that represents this asset, than I have of this asset. So you can't just print money out of thin air like the United States does. That's the problem. But it's also the danger, because the first country who decides that they're going to actually be fiscally responsible and that they can survive not overprinting money, and they go to a bullion backed system, every other country in the world will buy their debt and no one else's, because theirs will be the safest debt to buy. When they issue bonds, everyone will buy their bonds. Boom. They will blow up the market. That's true. Was your business a small business? Yes, that's still considered a small business. I do less than, well, I do less than $50 million a year for sure. How about buying dinar? Trailblazer, I imagine you're joking, but if you're not joking, Iraq. That's all I got to say. Look at Iraq. You want to invest in that? Because that's what you're doing if you're buying dinar. You're investing in Iraq. And it is an absolute failed state after we got done with it. Will we ever be debt free in the United States? We could be debt free by the end of this year. Tax on unsolved. Oh, on unsold. It says unsolved, but yeah, on unsold. Yeah. Well, that's the other economic plan that Knucklehead came up with. I can't believe that the two economic theories that she shot out first were two of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I mean, it was actually laughable. And honestly, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like a comedy thing, or like somebody was just fucking with the internet. Like, hey, she's got these great ideas. She's gonna do price fixing, which has always failed, and then she's gonna tax you on money that you haven't even made. What? Come on, that's got to be a joke, right? Like, if I can't pay, that that doesn't make any sense. Malay is trying to get everyone debt free, and poverty is now at 60% because of it. I don't believe that 60% number, but I do know that he was very, very clear that I'm going to slash the government. I'm going to get rid of a lot of departments. There's going to be a lot of pain and suffering short term so that we can get this thing back on track. Let me tell you what would happen if we slashed government spending and we got rid of all of the departments in the government that are completely and utterly useless. 50% of our GDP would disappear overnight, because 50% of our GDP is government spending on government employees. What happens when you fire millions and millions and millions of people? You fuck up the GDP horribly. It would destroy the United States for about a year. And then we would have the greatest expansion that you could even imagine. I mean, I know, Trump's always saying, the biggest and the most beautiful, and we would actually have something that looks a lot like the 50s again. We would explode in production in a way that you can't even fathom right now. But we would have to go through a lot of pain first. And who wants to do that? Nobody. So we just sit back fat and lazy. Everybody's got type 2 diabetes and is obese and sick. And we all just sit back and bitch, and nobody does anything. Nobody does any research. And we just turn on the TV and have our opinion stuffed down our throat. And that's that. Until it gets to the point where you're watching your children crying because you can't feed them that day. Then you lose your fucking mind. Then things change. But until then, nothing's going to change. Nothing at all. People like me, I don't get invited to parties because I'm one of the guys that does stuff. I don't just talk about it. I get shit done. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to give up their Tuesday night watching fucking Dancing with the Stars or whatever night it's on, whatever network. I don't even know. They don't want to give that up yet. They still have their 75-inch LCD TV. But wait until they can't feed their kids. Then people will listen. Then they'll have parties for guys like me to come to educate people. But right now, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah, they're worried. They're stressed. Credit card delinquencies just hit an all-time high. Credit card spending hit an all-time high 2 months ago. Major banks are saying that they're going to have an absolutely enormous wave of people that cannot pay their credit cards as of this month. Foreclosures are starting to rise. Car repossessions are literally the highest they've been since 2008, and they're going up faster than they ever have in history. You do the math. That's the problem. Right now, people just aren't willing to suffer. And that's going to be their problem. That's exactly right, Mark. You nailed it. It doesn't matter who the president is for the next 4 years. It doesn't, you can't change the ingredients now, man. The cake is baked. That's it. That's all there is. Drill like a motherfucker if you want to. That'll increase the second most important input into any business, which is energy. The number one is labor. The labor market's collapsing as we speak. Janet Yellen came out and absolutely lied through her teeth and said the job market's strong. She said that 2 weeks ago. When she said that, I thought, okay, that can't be right. Am I reading the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, Missouri's website wrong? No. What they're admitting to is 4.5%. That means it's probably closer to 7 or 8% unemployment in this country. They're not counting anybody who's given up on finding a job. I got 3.9 million worth of gold. You probably don't ever want to say that on the internet again. Unless, of course, you're just full of shit. But if you actually have that much money in gold at your house, think about how hard it is for somebody to find out what your username is, because it's probably the same on a lot of different sites, and then find out who you are and where you live. We don't talk about what we own. It's like Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club: don't fucking talk about Fight Club. Paper gold. Well, if it's paper gold, then you're fine because it doesn't really exist. It's not real. I'm not at the house. Okay. Did you see Vermont is putting $3 per gallon on oil? Tax on oil or gas? I mean, that would be hilarious. Well, people can't find work. There are businesses lying, saying that they can't find workers. Well, that is a problem. There are companies out there who can't find workers. You know what those workers are called? Skilled laborers. There's lots and lots of people out there to do all kinds of jobs. If you look at the amount of jobs, and I just showed this to all my TikTokers, was it last week, guys, or the week before? It was the week before. I got banned last week. But the week before, I showed the graph, and it shows that over the course of the last 4 years, Americans that were born in the United States, native-born workers, have lost 1.3 million jobs. As a matter of fact, hold on, I just happen to have that graph handy. Dun, dun, dun. I love it. I just said my secret code. If you can't read lips, though, sorry, tough poopies. You don't know what my secret code is. All right, where is it? Close. Okay, there it is. Boom. Now, it's going to be backwards, guys, because I'm a freaking caveman when it comes to technology. So I'm sorry, but okay. So the red line is since October of 2019. And let's go back. Let's go back. Come on. Do what I told you. Okay, so we've got native-born workers losing 1.2 million jobs. And we've got foreign-born workers, yes, mostly illegal immigrants, taking on 3,041,000 jobs. So all of the jobs that have been created since October of 2019, all of the jobs, all jobs in the United States that have been created went to foreign-born workers, not U.S. native people. If that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what could. And it also gives you the keys to what Democrats in Congress and in the Senate and in the executive branch are trying to accomplish. Because those workers will work for half as much money as Americans. Why? I'll tell you why. Because if they're illegals, their hotel is paid for, their cell phones are paid for, and they're getting food assistance. So they have zero overhead. So they can work cheaper than American workers who have to actually pay their own rent. Well, but wait a minute. If illegal immigrants are willing to work for less because they don't have any overhead, Why don't they have any overhead? You are paying all their bills with your tax money. They're spending $650 billion a year to support illegal migrants so that they can take jobs away from native born workers. Are you pissed yet? Even a little bit? I can't believe that this is happening. Blame the corporations. Primo, are you fucking serious? The corporations are in charge of the border? The corporations are secretly flying 300,000 people a year in to airports around the country from other countries that are illegal immigrants? Literally. The corporations are doing what corporations do. They're making money. They're playing the system that they've been given. Just like when Hillary Clinton said Donald Trump doesn't pay any taxes. And he said, yeah, because I use the tax laws that you wrote, that you live by. I'm just playing the game that you set up, and you haven't changed it. All the time you were in Senate, you didn't change it. You didn't even try. So don't give me this shit about, oh, corporations are bad. Corporations do some evil shit. But this has nothing to do with corporations. This has to do with if a guy walks in, and I know for a fact, no one will ever check to see if he's a legal immigrant or not. I know that because the Border Patrol doesn't do anything anymore except just take down a name, take down an address. And by the way, they found out that the 300,000 people that were flying in per year, those 300,000 people, of those people, 28,000 of them use the exact same address in Chicago. That's a big fucking house. Or they were all given that information by the cartels who smuggled them up to the border. That has nothing to do with corporations, baby. How do they get, brother, really? Are you serious, man? How do they get paychecks? That's just part of the scam. You got to go to a payday place. You got to go to a paycheck place. That's the problem, is that they get screwed too. They get paid much lower wages than native born workers, and then they have to go to a place that'll cash their check. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to pay 15, 20% of your paycheck? Yeah, if that's the only way you can cash it. And these payday places just absolutely mop up. Reaganomics? What? Or the boss will cash the checks. That's true too. Why did they do anything? Because that's what they get paid to do. They got paid by ABC to make damn sure that it was 3-on-1, and it was effective. And somebody got Kamala Harris ready and they did a great job. She did exactly what she needed to do. She didn't talk about a damn thing economically. She didn't talk about the borders. She didn't talk about the fact that we left Afghanistan with our tail between our legs. We got our asses kicked. We got all of our guys blown up. We had literally civilians throwing their children as hard as they could over the fence, hoping that one of the Marines at the gate would catch their babies so that they would then technically have to have asylum. And a lot of those children, how hard can a woman throw? 20 pounds. A lot of those children landed in the wire. And if you don't think that's true, talk to some of the veterans. Why do you think that the suicide rate has doubled? It used to be 11 vets a day. Now it's 22. Because what those poor fuckers saw over there was so insane and so inhumane that they can't live with it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Stay drunk all the time? That's what I did when I got out of the Marine Corps. I stayed drunk for about 2-3 years. It just didn't work. People would say, well, do you think you have a drinking problem? And I'd say, no, I have a drinking solution. The fact that I'm so tightly wound that I could go off at any minute, that's my problem. But we didn't call it PTSD yet. We just called it being high strung. And everybody that got out of the fucking Marine Corps was high strung. If you saw any kind of anything. Like, you know, and the thing is that some of the things that you do in the Marine Corps are what you would consider righteous, and you feel like they have to be done, so you do what you have to do. Some of the things that you see, you can't explain. Like, to give you an example, this is just one example. To find out that a terrorist group, in this case, the Red Army, something Red Army in the Philippines, to find out that the rebels, guerrillas, whatever you want to call them, were trying to steal our weapons in the middle of the night while we were on patrol, not knowing that we had booby traps and all that stuff, or maybe they did. They didn't send in their best warriors. They sent in a bunch of children. They sent in kids that were between 10 and 15 years old because they're expendable. That was my first time in that situation. I had no idea. But when I found out, it definitely changed me. How do I sleep at night? Usually on my side. A lot of times on my left side. Sometimes I'll turn over on my right side, but I'm kind of a left side sleeper. Thanks for asking, though. Her sorority sister was asking the questions. I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what that even means. But yeah, my point is that after all of that shit, it's like, so we're spending $1 trillion every 90 days on what? What are we doing? What the fuck is going on in this government? What is the government doing other than funding wars around the world? And now, as of today, sending troops to the Middle East. For those of you who want to see Americans die, vote for Harris. Period. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no, well, that's debatable. It's not debatable. Biden, Harris, Biden, Harris, Biden, Harris. It's the same administration. It's the Biden-Harris administration now. Then it'll be the Harris-China administration. So you think that she's going to what? Pull all the troops out of the Middle East? Not a chance. So at this point, we are going to war. We will go to war in the Middle East. That is a guarantee. Now, what is that going to do to the United States economy? You do the math. We're the ones funding it. Look, the Iron Dome, when you see all those missiles being fired off at on the Iron Dome to knock down all the Hezbollah and Hamas missiles, who do you think's paying for that? Every one of those costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. They fire hundreds of them a day. A day. Who's paying for that? You are. You are paying for that. You're paying for the war. We're just not paying for it in blood, only treasure. But that's next. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's the reality, guys. Oh, my live stream thing froze up. Are you guys sending me messages? Because I'm not getting messages. That sucks. Uh-oh. Now it's telling me, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shut off my, hold on. There. I just shut off my Wi-Fi and I'm going with cell phone. Yep, freezing up. There you go. All right. Yeah, it should be better now. Lagging a bit. Okay. You're skipping. Yep, that figures. Funny how I skip every time I start talking about this stuff. Last night was a great one. I got a message. TikTok sent me a message and said, we're restricting the viewers that can see you. What? Like, what does that mean? Like, who can see me then? If you're restricting the viewers, what are you restricting them to? Like, only people over 80, or only people who live in Republican states, or what does that mean? Restricting the viewership. Weird. Yeah, it does mean censorship, obviously. Yeah. Do you think that the second debate should be held on Fox? I don't even see a point in a second debate. Look, she's done interviews since the debate, and she didn't say anything in those either. She literally didn't say anything in those. If Turkey joins in on Lebanese side, U.S. can't fight another NATO member. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. They will not. And believe me, Erdogan just announced 6 months ago that Turkey is, in fact, an Islamic nation first and foremost. Well, why do you come out and say that? What's the meaning of that? Well, I think it's pretty clear. He's choosing a side. Why is Kamala pro-China? The only thing I can think of is that Biden is incredibly compromised. She picked a guy who's been to China 22 times as her running mate. Some of the people on his staff as governor have very, very deep ties with the Communist Party there. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that China's not stupid. They bought their way in. And that's how you get into politics. That's how you become influential in the United States. You throw money around, and you'd be shocked at how little it costs to buy a politician. We only gave them $6 billion. We need to stay out of communism. Well, it worked so well for so many other countries, right? Wal's whole family is voting for Trump. That does not surprise me at all. From Minnesota, Walz is a dictator. I totally see that. What about the UN? What about the UN? What a worthless group of idiots. Like, what a waste of time that is. Obama running it behind the scenes? No, he's not. Absolutely not. Obama was a puppet just like all the rest of them. That's why they want Trump dead, period. Because he's not a puppet. He may not be a great guy. You may not want him to babysit your daughter. I know I wouldn't trust my 19-year-old alone with him, But the bottom line is, as somebody who is not purchased by the system, he's the only chance we've got. So you go with what you got, Like, I mean, that's the thing. When you're going into battle, you don't go into battle with a battle plan of the Army and the Marine Corps strength you wish you had. You look at what you really have, and then you make decisions based on that. And out of the two, he's the only one that you can pick. Oh, I know. I mean, the stuff that you do here is crazy. Trying to take sovereignty. Yeah, that won't work. That got shot down already. Don't worry about that. UN tanks go by my house every month. Let me explain something to you. As a former Marine, as a master combat swimmer, and someone who was on the Marine Corps rifle team, the United Nations does not worry me. The United Nations forces, if you have ever seen them up close and personal, we don't have anybody that I could compare them to now, but I would compare them to the Keystone Cops if we were in the 20s or 30s. They are laughable if your life doesn't depend on training them. If you're training them, it's not funny anymore. It's incredibly frustrating. It's infuriating because they're so absolutely idiotic. So the next time you see those tanks go by, understand that they probably will never fire a shot in anger if they have UN troops in them. We would have to put actual soldiers in those tanks to make them work. I don't think anybody who knows Kamala Harris likes her. Literally, I'm not joking. UN peacekeeping force is not a powerful thing. Their budget is less than the New York PD. It shows. It really does. Um, it's just nuts. Their peacekeeping forces are just, there are countries in Africa that officially we've never been to and we don't go to. There are entire insurgencies that have been stopped by a company of Marines. 120 guys. That's it. That's all it takes. When they see that the Marines have hit the ground, they're like, oh, fuck, this is going to get ugly. And that's it. It's over. Why do you think Trump is not on TikTok? Yeah, because he can't be. So many will vote for her because they don't like Donald Trump as a person. Hey, what about FEMA camps? I'm not buying it. Look, I heard about FEMA camps all through the 90s, all through the early 2000s. COVID hit. Who went to the camps? Nobody. So where are the camps? Well, a lot of those camps happen to be closed down military bases, and people are like, oh, look, it's a big empty camp. They must have built that for FEMA. No, they built it for the Air Force, and they don't use it anymore. Or they built it for the Army, and they don't have the equipment there anymore. That's all. So I'm not worried about that. Okay, what's his account? Do you know his username? This is obviously not a conversation I am aware of. Said he wouldn't ban TikTok. Why would you ban TikTok? Look, if the Chinese are spying on us using TikTok, just think about this for a second. This is where common sense really comes in handy sometimes. The Chinese don't censor TikTok. The Americans censor TikTok. Why? Because the Chinese don't want to control the narrative. They want to know what we really think. They want to take our pulse and figure out where we are psychologically. When you're spying on somebody, you don't pop out of the bushes and go, excuse me, I think you should say this instead. You're changing the narrative. Now you don't know what they really think because you're trying to make them do something that they wouldn't naturally do. The idea of spying is gathering intelligence. If you taint the intelligence, it's not fucking intelligent. So TikTok was the Chinese listening to Americans. So what? I don't give a shit if they listen to me. I'm glad they're listening. I'm glad they're watching, a bunch of 20-year-old girls dance in bikinis. I don't care. I don't give a shit what they're watching here. The TikTok they watch is totally different than our TikTok. They don't allow all the dumb shit. It's all educational and informative stuff. They shut down anyone that's under a certain age. They shut their TikTok off after like 90 minutes. You're not allowed to watch TikTok for very long. So that's the point. For manipulation, really? How many people of Chinese persuasion do you see on TikTok every day? You scroll through videos just like I do. How many Chinese people do you see on there saying, I think that people don't understand how amazing our system of government is, and that the Chinese Communist Party is actually trying to help everyone? I've never seen that. Ever. Are they trying to divide our country? No, we're doing that. So, any Chinese on TikTok are on a VPN. Oh, that's right. If you use a private network, that makes you look white. Oh, that's right. It doesn't. So where are all the Chinese influencers trying to get us to become commies? Where are all the people on TikTok trying to become commies? Bikinis are awesome. I absolutely agree with you. So, yeah, virtual private networks. You don't think you can be watched on those? Huh, wrong. Okay, there you go. They have a Chinese version of TikTok, and it's just the same shit. Bunch of people talking about what they think, except no internal politics. Okay, well, that's they're controlling their narrative. How are they controlling our narrative? They're not. And that's the problem. Because for a few years there, TikTok exploded and no one was controlling the narrative. So every few videos I strolled through, I saw riots going on in a country somewhere. And I saw all kinds of issues happening worldwide. And they all looked like they were the same shit over and over again, all over the world, almost like the world's supposed to be in chaos right now. And then all of a sudden, the Texas Project took over American TikTok. The Texas Project? Who the hell is the Texas Project? Well, look into it. Because when you find out who the Texas Project is, you find out that now we're being censored on TikTok. We weren't before. Now we are. How could they? See, that makes perfect sense. I believe that there are more TikTok accounts than there are people in the world. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. There are a hell of a lot more YouTube accounts than there are people in the world. There's something like 10 billion accounts. Well, 8 billion people, 10 billion accounts. Do the math. I have 2 accounts. I believe that yeah, that's true. So, now that we have, what's his name? It's not Peter Thiel. It's, he's, Oracle, the founder of Oracle, a very, very strange dude. Larry Ellison. Thank you. He's still the chief technology officer there, by the way. And he was helped tremendously by the CIA. Yes, he acknowledges that it's not some conspiracy theory. And he is very into things like biometric security and retinal scans and all kinds of stuff. He's very into security stuff. And now he's running the Texas Project. And now we have censorship everywhere on TikTok. I wonder why. Yeah, we do need as many as we can get. I don't see Elon Musk really censoring political speech, though. I don't understand what you mean by that. Like, you'd have to give me an example of something that he pulled down just because it was political. Why are we being censored? Because if everybody starts talking about the same thing, okay, let's just say that everybody on TikTok agrees that the government's corrupt. Everybody on TikTok. Well, what does that do to the election? You're going to elect the same exact person that's been in office for 3.5 years? No, you're not. So that's a very good question. I guess California finally lost out on something big other than X and SpaceX and every other company that's fleeing, including Google. I'm telling you right now, California has taken one of the most beautiful states in the nation with some of the best weather ever, and they have completely destroyed it. The idea, the idea that the governor is so sensitive that he has now made it illegal to do deep fakes of a political nature. What? Oh, yeah. If you wanted to deep fake your ex-wife doing something horrible with an elephant, though, that's okay. But only political speech? Yes, only political speech. Why only political speech? Because politicians are above reproach. You can't talk badly about them. Think about it. I mean, they're the best of us, right? Yeah. That's the problem, is that, now they're trying to control the narrative again. Because if you just allow the horde, the unwashed masses, the plebs, the the commoners, these people that are just uneducated Americans, God forbid you allow them to think for themselves, because there might perhaps come a point where they're no longer distracted by shiny objects like Dancing with the Stars or whatever the Kardashians are doing with their stolen billions of dollars. And then they might apply that common sense to things like immigration or going into foreign wars, just so that a few corporations in the US can make ungodly amounts of money. And then they might say enough. But if they don't know what to say enough to, all they know is that they're suffering. But everything else is great. Like, everybody else is doing great. Everybody in the country's fine. It's, if you're suffering, I'm sorry, man, but that's your problem. You aren't keeping up. Okay, but what happens when you don't censor and 330 million Americans figure out that none of us are keeping up? Oh, wait a minute. Wait, if none of us are keeping up, that means that somebody's specifically trying to do this. Either that or we're just all stupid and we're all failures. Well, we're not all stupid and we're not all failures. There's a lot of extremely hardworking, very intelligent, clever human beings in this country. So why are they getting the shit kicked out of them financially right now? Why can't the young ones buy a house? Why can't the old ones retire comfortably? I mean, my God, we have the best financial system ever created in history. What happened? Because the vampires got a hold of us and started sucking the blood out of us. Well, who are they? Well, you can't identify them if you can't talk about them. And that is exactly what this censorship is about. It's about the fact that the rich want to stay rich, and not all the rich. Because remember, for a long time, there were a lot of very extremely wealthy men who earned every dollar that they had. And they donated hundreds of millions of dollars to colleges and museums and all kinds of middle schools. And that was the thing that you did. That was what you did when you were rich. And then when you died, you left it all to charities. Well, wait a minute. I thought those were greedy industrialists. I wouldn't want to try to negotiate with the sons of bitches because they were hard men, but they were fair. Now, there's no such thing as fair. That's the problem. We've lost our moral support mentally. And so now it's just every man for himself, and that can't work. "45 years in RN, my God, that is harsh." I don't know what his prediction is. Let's see. Oh, that's all she gets. Jesus, Laura, that's horrible. Do I, historian Lichtman's prediction? I don't know what his prediction is. Tell me what his prediction is, and I'll tell you if I believe him. I mean, if he's gotten the last 9 out of 10 right, don't tell me the one that he missed was Trump. Oh my God, that would be fucking hilarious. $800 a month. Is that about right, Lori? That's what she gets. I mean, $800 a month. The average car payment for a new car in the United States is $752 a month. You figure it out. Oh, Bush. That's interesting. Well, what's he saying now? Is he saying that Kamala's going to win or Trump's going to win? Well, I don't care if it's controversial. Hell, have you been listening to me for the last hour? That's kind of what I do, baby. Okay, I believe it. I totally believe it. Look, I think Kamala's going to get elected too. You know, look, got to rise above the politics, man. The bottom line is this: the United States of America can't get fixed until it breaks completely. We're broken, but we're only partially broken right now. We need to break. We need to have that one catalyzing event. For those of you who are students of history, you understand why I just used those exact words. I'm going to find out just how fucking smart my TikTokers are. You guys are the smartest TikTokers in the world. So why did I say that we would need a catalyzing event? It's in a document that should be very famous. It's not as famous as it should be. We need a catalyzing event. Now, it's not really a miracle. We just need the average person to be so pissed off that they actually get off the couch and do something about it. Do you have to drop Kemp off or you climb up? That makes no sense. That's funny. Yeah, well, that's the reset. Good night, Melissa. Let's see. You have to go lower to. Well, there's a very famous quote from Fight Club, which I will remind you. It's only after you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. Stop fighting for all the shit that you own and all the things that you are slave to. Let it all go and start over. And that's what we're about to do. The government and the globalists, yeah, absolutely. 100 million people beating on the door, yeah, of the White House will change things very quickly. Hell, 2 million is all we need. But we need at least that many people to be angry. Is there an evil presence in government? All governments are evil. Please understand that. Read Common Sense by Thomas Paine. He explains governments perfectly. When I read that document, I was in my 40s, and it blew me away. Governments are all evil. They're all bad. There's no such thing as good government. That is an impossibility. There is no way that that happens. So there is only the government that you can tolerate. That's the only government that exists. And I'm finding this one intolerable. There you go. Legal immigrants, by the way, are some of the best people in this country because they actually had to study and learn our history and learn our background and learn our systems. And they're very proud of the fact that they became U.S. citizens. A lot of U.S. citizens are just born U.S. citizens, and they take that shit for granted. By the way, a catalyzing event, since nobody answered that, a catalyzing event is what the Project for a New American Century wrote in a memo that they put just before 9/11 that said that in order to rebuild our defense and in order to stay as the world leader, we need a catalyzing event like a Pearl Harbor. And then 9/11 happened right after that. And guess how many people died in Pearl Harbor? About 3,000. Guess how many died on 9/11? 2,961. Oh my goodness, they got their catalyzing event, didn't they? And then all of a sudden, instead of cutting the defense budget like Clinton did and wasting it on stupid shit like schools, they got their budget back. And now we spend $1 trillion a year on defense. $1 trillion a year on defense. Well, the bigger it gets, the more it becomes self-obsessed, the more it becomes focused on saving itself and preserving itself. And preserving government and preserving prosperity are very different. They're concerned about the prosperity of government. We're concerned about the prosperity of the entire country. Those two things can't exist in the same space. The more the government takes, the less we have to split up. It's that simple. So, but yeah, you're definitely right, Heathen. Let's see. Reagan spoke about using alien invasion as an example. He actually brought that up twice while he was president, how it would sort of refocus everybody on the fact that we're all in this little tiny rock together. If an outside threat were to happen, the government is ran by corporations. Larry Fink is your president. In a sense, yeah. I mean, when you look at the way that it's all run, BlackRock owns 80% of the 80% of the stocks on the stock market, at least some of them. BlackRock owns part of Blackstone. Blackstone owns part of BlackRock. State Street is invested in BlackRock. BlackRock's invested in State Street. Blackstone is invested in State Street as well. Vanguard is also invested in BlackRock. BlackRock owns part of Vanguard. Basically, what they've done is they've created a very intricate web in order to hide who is responsible for making the decisions. So, who's responsible? Well, they're all a big lump. Okay, but how did they get that much money? It's not their money. It's your money. All of these pension funds, 401ks, IRAs that are invested in the stock market, they're invested through BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and Fidelity. And they all sit down together and make decisions about, now that we own 80% of the stock of XYZ Corporation, maybe we should gently suggest their new agenda. Oh, okay. Well, so it's your money, but they get the power of having the money, even though it's not their money. So what would happen if you took your money back? They would no longer have the influence that they have. They have to sell the underlying assets when you get out. That's why there are so many people that are so worried about things like bond funds. There are junk bond funds all over the country that do not have the underlying value necessary to actually start giving people back their money. They haven't put it on their books yet. But if people start actually getting out of the market, the problem is that some of these funds, your money's extremely liquid. You can call them and say, hey, I'd like to get my money out. And they say, okay, well, we'll send you a check. And you say, no, you know what? I'd like to do a wire next day settlement. Oh, okay. Well, a next day settlement's an extra $20. No, that's okay. Well, and a wire's 15. No, that's fine. $35. And then I'll have my money day after tomorrow instead of having a cashier's check for 200,000, which I take to the bank and they hold it for 10 days. Fuck that. Now, 3 weeks from now, you get your money. You do a wire and a next day settlement, though, boom, you've got your money. Here's the problem. That bond fund now has to sell off the underlying asset. Nobody's buying that underlying asset. Nobody wants their junk bonds. So now what? They go under. Well, whose money are they playing with other than yours? Banks. And the FDIC doesn't cover that. There's nobody there to bail them out. The government won't bail them out either. Banks can't bail them out. Nobody can bail them out. And then the banks, because they're doing this with bonds, they can't be bailed out either. Do the math. Well, that's the point, is that those three don't own any of the S&P. They don't own 73%. We do. Through them. And because we've gone through them, they have the power to speak for all of us. But do they really speak for all of us? I don't know. I haven't talked to Larry Fink lately. That's an interesting thought, though, isn't it? They only have the power that the people of the United States of America have given them. We voted with our money, and we voted that Larry Fink runs the world. That's what we did. Which previous election results besides 2000 made you the most frustrated? I really didn't care about Bush or Gore. Um, and I'm actually glad that Bush won because, in spite of the fact that it cost us, I don't know, I think it's something like 10,000 American lives and $8 trillion. Gore would have been much, much worse. This whole thing with an inconvenient truth. I know the truth behind that. What is the answer? How do we get the power back? Well, if you have a 401k and you leave your company, you take your 401k. If you have an IRA, you take it out of Fidelity, Vanguard, wherever it's invested, and you put it into gold and silver, period. And yes, you can own gold and silver through your IRA and keep it at your house. It's a legal loophole that the government hates, but they can't change it. It's the law. And so, as long as you do everything by the book, you can do that. What do I think of Trump? He's kind of a clown, a buffoon, but he does understand the basics of business. You know, when he says he went to Wharton, as an undergraduate, he went to Wharton. Now, granted, Wharton is considered Thunderbird and Wharton are probably the two best business schools in the United States. And I know everybody who's ever gone to college will argue, well, my college was better, whatever. But Wharton and the Thunderbird School of Business Management are absolutely fucking top notch. So he went to a good school. He's been in business long enough, and he's been enough of a showman that he understands that um, there's a time for buffoonery and there's a time for realizing that things are very serious. What he did with North Korea was brilliant. I thought at the time, I was like, I can't fucking believe this idiot's going to North Korea. He's going to step over the line. He's going to shake this guy's hand. What the fuck are we doing? And then it hit me. If I were a businessman, I'd be doing exactly the same thing. If that were my business, politics were my business, yeah, I would have done the same thing. I would have threatened to absolutely annihilate him, drowned him in the lava that was North Korea. And then once he says, now, wait a minute, hold on. What the fuck? I didn't realize you're going to be that overreactive. I'd say, well, I mean, we could talk. Yeah, that was beautiful. Not only did he throw the first punch, but then he ended the fight without a punch. Okay, I like it. With Xi, he did the same thing. He said, look, you guys are stealing our technology. You're screwing our companies over. A lot of them come over there for cheap labor, and then you steal all their technology. That's not cool. That is absolutely not cool. So I'm just going to throw a 50% tariff on a ton of your stuff until you can show me that you're using our companies to make money, but you're not stealing from them as well. And China came to the table. Now, I will say this, all of the big business people, all the big Republicans undermined him. They went behind his back and went straight to the foreign minister of China and said, look, we can work out a deal. And when I say businessman, I'm talking about people like Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan and Larry Fink of BlackRock and Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs. They all sat down with the foreign minister in public, in fucking public. They didn't even try to hide this meeting. And they said, look, we'd like to work out a deal with you. Yeah, tariffs my ass. We'll work around it. And the Chinese government said, well, if you can work around it, we have hundreds of billions of dollars worth of projects. So we'd love to give to you guys. We'd love to have you fund them and make all the money on them. But, could you help us with this problem? This guy who thinks he's a Republican, they worked right around him. He shook hands with Putin. Look, I don't really care what most people think when I talk about Putin because I've done my homework. I was in the Marine Corps. They were my enemy, theoretically. I've known a lot of Russians since then. I've worked with Russian special forces. I've worked with their Spetsnaz guys. I've had drinks, plenty of drinks with Russians. I like Russians. Yeah, they're crazy. They're different than us, but you know what? They're good people, just like us. They're just hardworking people. They just want the same thing we want, except a lot of more vodka. But, they just want to get by. Putin is, from what I have seen so far, and this is only since 2000 now. So, I've only got a quarter of a century of experience of watching what he says and then seeing what he does after the fact. And shockingly, what he says he's going to do and then what he does are always the same thing. And it confounds everybody in politics. Like, oh, well, he said he's only going to have a special military operation in the Donbass region. What do you think he means? He means he's going into the eastern part of Ukraine to stop the killing of ethnic Russians because nobody else will. And he's been working on it since 2014 and everybody's been ignoring him. So after 8 years, he said, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to do it. And Biden said, well, how we react is really going to depend on whether or not it's a full invasion or if he just does what he's saying and just has a military operation to basically protect the ethnic Russians. Those are two different things. And he said that publicly. I watched him say it on CNN. And if I were Putin, I think if he has a gun on you, it's funny. After I watched that, I thought to myself, well, that's permission. Joe Biden just gave him permission, not for a full-on invasion, no, but for a special military operation. Yeah, we just gave him permission. That's what he said. He said, a full invasion? Absolutely not. We won't allow it. But if he's just doing what he says he's doing, well, then, that's going to be a different story. Okay, well, what is the different story? Well, as soon as Putin did exactly what he said he was going to do, we did exactly what we said we weren't going to do. That is how the United States government rolls these days. You cannot trust anything that comes out of their mouths. That's just the way it is. Look, I saw H.W. Bush do the same thing when Iraq was threatening to invade, and they were saying, look, we're tired of these people stealing our oil. We're going to invade, and we're going to take back everything that's ours. We sued them in world court. We won. They won't pay. That's it. We're going to invade. And I watched somebody say, what are we going to do if they invade? And George H.W. Bush, from the podium as the president of the United States, said, well, that's a problem between Iraq and Kuwait. And that's not something that we're going to get involved in. You don't think Saddam Hussein saw that? You don't think he actually saw it live? I saw it live. You don't think he was watching CNN? The president of the United States is speaking. You don't think he's going to watch that? And what he heard was, do what you got to do, man. We're not getting involved in that shit. And as soon as they crossed the line into Kuwait, boom, we faked pictures of literally 6,000 Iraqi tanks on the border of Saudi Arabia. And we said, hey, Saudi Arabia, they are totally full of shit. They're not invading Kuwait. They're going to invade you. You better get us over there fast. And Saudi Arabia said, oh, shit, okay, what do you need? We said, well, we're going to need some military bases on your soil, something they'd never allowed before. And they said, okay, yeah, you can put military bases on our land. What was the name of the military base? The largest military base in Saudi Arabia? Does anybody know what the name of that base was? That's garage. That's funny. No, it was Bin Laden Air Base. The Bin Ladens built it for us. My advice to somebody who wants to start a small business. Well, the most important thing. You should definitely expect to get knocked on your ass. You're going to get knocked down. How quickly you get back up is really what determines the outcome. But I would also say, starting a small business, obviously, if you've got a good idea, let's just assume that you've got a good idea. So we're assuming that you have a good business, and you want to expand the business. let me grab an example. I'll just grab pressure washing. It was literally the first thing that just popped into my head was if I were going to start a business, you could start a pressure washing business. You've got to buy a pressure washer, buy a good one, okay? And get paid in silver. That's good advice. But I would say that the most important thing is make sure that you understand that until you're working 7 days a week and you're working 10 hours a day, you don't hire anyone else. You don't get employees until you physically cannot work any more than you already are. That's how you really jumpstart a business. Make sure that you have one of two things going for you. You either do a much better job for the same price and you're more thorough, or you're less expensive and you do the exact same work as everybody else, but you're less expensive. Make sure that you get good business cards, not cheap ones, because e-cards are bullshit. People lose those in their phone before you can say, well, where'd that contact go? Make sure that you are willing to go door to door and, put flyers on people's doors, knock on doors, really put the effort in. Yeah, small business association's not bad. Apply for subsidies. Well, I mean, yeah, if you're any kind of ethnicity at all, if you're a minority, that will actually help tremendously. But don't borrow more than you need. You know, be prepared to eat a lot of fucking top ramen. Really, like people don't understand. If you really want to be successful in business, and I have been wildly successful in a few businesses now, including the silver business, which I had been out of the silver business since 2011 because I realized that look, it's or 2012 because it's over. Why would I sell silver to people who aren't going to make money on it? I don't do that. I don't sell worthless things to people. If I'm telling you about a product or a service, it's because you either want it really bad or you need it really bad. In this case, it's need for silver. So that's why I'm in this business. But when I got back into the silver business, I got back into it because I saw the writing on the wall, and I started it at my desk. Went on the website, filled out everything to form an LLC. Got my LLC. Went to the state, said, "Hey, what do I need to sell shit here?" And they said, "Oh, well, if you're going to be selling that, you got to have this form and that form." There's a form. Form 5000A. See that? You guys, if you want to take a little screenshot of that, it's got my home address on there. I'm not really worried about that because if you know me, you know that coming to my house in the middle of the night will be the biggest mistake you've ever made. Get paid by feds, not to pressure wash. Were you was in transportation business? Okay, transportation, that's a great one. Yeah, but here's the thing: when it comes to creating trust, the way you create trust is you bust your ass and you do a great job. When you do a great job, and I'm using pressure washing because it's the first thing. I don't know what business you wanted to start. If it's proprietary, don't tell me. If it's something that you just want to be, you want to do the same thing that some other guy did, and it's not a big deal. It's if you said, "Oh, I'm going to make sandwiches," okay, well then go ahead, make sandwiches, but follow these rules. But yeah, the reality is that when you start a business, you're making a deal, okay? And it's I wouldn't say that it's a deal with the devil. I'd say it's a deal with the other guy. And your deal is, look, God, I'm willing to suffer because I want something better. So I'm willing to take something worse for the short term to get something better for the long term. And if that's your attitude going into a small business and you're willing to work your ass off tirelessly for months, perhaps years, then you're going to make it. Period. Nothing can stop you. Not in this country. All the fucking regulations in the world don't amount to a pile of shit if you are determined. That's the beautiful part about this country. As fucked up as it is, it's still the best country in the world to be successful in. And you have to also determine what success means, by the way. This is something that is more important than how much money you make. This is probably the most important advice, is understand what the word success means to you. If it means being unbelievably rich, do not get married. Don't have a family, because you will fuck them over. You will ruin your family, and your children will hate you, just like every other ultra rich person I know whose children are just basically waiting around for them to die, including the woman that lives across the street from me, who's a very nice woman. Her older son is so concerned about her. She's got brain cancer for the fourth time, and she's in her 70s, and she's a nice lady, and her older son is doing everything he can to try to help her, and her younger son just wants to know, can I have that car? How much are the assets worth? You know, he's just waiting for her to die so we can get this shit over with and I get my money. That's the way a lot of wealthy people end their lives. If that's your idea of success, you're an idiot, but good luck. If your idea of success is, I want my children to have a better life than I did, then start a company and make them work for you all summer, every summer. Doesn't matter. Just make them work. Make them do something. Make them understand the value of hard work. You know, there's an old saying in Buddhism. I've studied Buddhism for years because I think that Buddhism and Christianity, if Christianity is practiced correctly, are very similar. The old saying that Buddhist monks use is, if you want to find serenity, carry water. It's true. If you want to find peace, carry water. Hard work is good for you. Working hard and understanding that you have earned everything that you have makes you feel very good. People who feel like their life has no meaning, it's because their life has no meaning. People who feel like they're not special, it's because they're not special. That's why they feel like that. You want to be special? Get off the couch and do something special. It's so simple. It's really that easy. There's no magic to it. If you don't have self-esteem, take some esteemable actions. Go help the poor. Go help the disabled. Go do something that matters to somebody else, and then all of a sudden you feel taller and better and younger and just great, because hey, I fucking matter. In this world, I matter. That's it. It's that simple. So define success and then go get it. But don't overdo it. A lot of people become slaves to their company and they lose what's important in life. And what's important in life, the most important thing, the meaning of life, period. I don't give a shit if you climb to the top of the Himalayas to find this. This is what you're going to find. What matters in life and the meaning of life itself is who you love and who loves you. Period. Nothing else means shit. The amount of money you spend on a car or a house or a facelift doesn't mean shit at the end of life. The amount of people standing around you and celebrating you and not just tolerating you when you take your last breath, that is the point of being here. So figure out what success is and go grab that shit. Spoke in a wheel. See, I'm not good with motion sickness. I'd puke my brains out if I were a spoke in a wheel. After closing your silver business. No, because gold and silver are the same thing. Precious metals are precious metals. That's it. Like, I'm only doing this because this is the safest asset class in the world. Period. Bar none. Like, when people say, well, what about real estate? Are you fucking crazy? There's no counterparty risk. in precious metals. There's counterparty risk in everything except precious metals. Why would you do anything else right now? Look, when the economy finally gets back to hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, if the economy gets back on its feet, which I feel like it will, it just depends on how far down we go before we bounce. But Americans always bounce. There's some bouncy motherfuckers in this country. Once that takes place, there are so many things you can invest in, and they will all kick the shit out of silver and gold. They'll just absolutely annihilate it. But not right now. Could you make more money in the S&P 500? Well, the S&P 500 is up 30% in the last year. Silver's up 33%. Why would you do that? Why would you trade something with no counterparty risk for something that is insanely risky and based on a theory that all stockbrokers know? We all joke about it at the water cooler. It's called the greater fool theory. If you paid more for Tesla than I paid for Tesla stock, then you're an idiot. You're a greater fool than I am. That's the whole stock market, not just a stock. It's the entire market. So if you're not buying gold and silver, you're fucking up. That's it. I mean, I can't put it any other way. Buy silver. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question in the world. There's like no question. There is no place better to put money right now. And the reason I say that is because right now, everything is in turmoil. So what's the most important thing? Safety. Now, can I make you money in silver? Hell yes. Can I make you money in gold? Not as much, but yes. Copper and aluminum, nope. Those are all industrial metals, and industry's about to take a shit. It's a recession. What about miners? Nope, absolutely not. Miners are subject to governments, and governments are all crooked. Once they get it out of the ground and they pour it into a vat and they refine it down to 999 and they pour it into coins and they smash it into something that looks like an eagle taking a dump, then I want it. Until then, it's politics, baby, and I don't get involved in politics. Because when you mix politics with religion, do you know what you get? Politics. When you mix politics with science, do you know what you get? Politics. Politics is a cancer that destroys every single thing it touches. It is literally a plague. So if you're buying miners stock, you're buying in to the entirety of all the drama that goes on in a corporation. Oh, CEO got caught with his pants down with a 12-year-old bonobo. Well, your mining company's going to take a hit, but they still make gold. Yeah, well, they sure do. That's the point. Is don't get involved in politics, and anything other than that right there is politics. This is above politics. This is money for 5,000 years, especially mining stocks. Rio Tinto is one of the largest mining companies, if not the largest mining company in the world. They're having all kinds of problems all around the world with crooked governments and paying these people off, paying those people off, and having to go through regulations. Hell, Sunshine Mine, when silver hit its highest point ever back in 2011, Sunshine Mine closed their mining operation for silver in the United States. What? It's the highest it's ever been. Yeah, it's not high enough to cover the cost of mining with all of the bullshit regulations. That's it. And if you don't buy it now, you won't be able to buy it. Can they tax it? In some states, yeah. Do I have to tell you what color those states are? They're all blue states. Red states don't tax, not gold and silver. And the reason is, in 28 states now, they're working on legislation to make silver and gold actual usable legal tender for all debts, public and private. That's literally what they're doing in 28 states. 18 states have already passed laws to make, like in the Arizona, why would I tax you on it? If you're giving me legal tender, you're giving me, I took all those hundreds off my desk. if I'm giving you a paper dollar that says it's legal tender, and you're giving me this, then we're just simply trading money for money. It's just a straight across exchange. That's it. Why would you tax that? It's like if you had a BMW and I had a BMW, that would make us both self-obsessed douchebags. But that's not the point of this comment. If you and I had the exact same model, same year, same everything, and we swapped cars, what's the tax on that? We just traded. Well, in some cases, yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, there are states that still tax on this shit. Like New Jersey. It's like 8%. What? How's Mesquite Gold Mine, Imperial County? Now new gold company. I wouldn't touch it. Not until they've pulled a couple million ounces out, and then I just buy their gold. Trades are not taxable in Canada for cars. Thank God. New Jersey is zero. Okay, it was one of your. Oh, maybe it was. I don't know. It was one of those New England states. It was. I know it was a blue state up there, and it was like 8.5%. I just went, geez. Oh, New Mexico sucks. What's the least amount of money you could spend on silver to make it worth your while? Whatever you have in the bank that you don't need right now for anything. Where do I buy gold from? I buy it from wholesalers, big wholesalers that are what we call good delivery wholesalers. Kentucky, yeah, Kentucky might. Um, Massachusetts, it probably is. You can Google it and see which states charge tax on it. It's absolutely stunning that any states have the balls to do that, because what they're doing is totally illegal. And silver than gold, because silver is now accessible and affordable. Also, that's true, but also because the price of gold to silver has a historical level. Now, it used to be 15 to 1 in the Coinage Act of 1792. They set the price in the United States at 15 to 1. Okay, well, they set it at 15 to 1, but eventually, in recent years, in the last few decades, it's been about 40 to 1. Gold has gone up, and so you need 40 ounces of silver to buy an ounce of gold. Well, right now, there's a price disparity, and this happens every once in a while where gold will go up, and it's like, okay, well, what the hell's going on? Now it's like today, it's 83.18 to 1. 83 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold? It was at 40 not long ago. Okay, so wait, what does that mean? Does that mean the gold's going to come back down? Not a fucking chance ever. Okay, so that means that silver's going to have to go back up to match it, go back to 40 to 1. Right. It's called a price disparity or a price anomaly. And we get them every once in a while. Maybe every 10 or 15 years, we get a price anomaly where gold goes first because central banks buy it and lots of people buy it. Lots of very wealthy people buy it. And then all of a sudden, silver's just hanging out down there. It's still same price. It's like, okay, I see a huge opportunity here, because that disparity, that price anomaly, never lasts for more than a few months. So take advantage of it. And look, even if you want gold, don't buy gold now, buy silver now. And in 6 months, when it's gone this much higher and it's back to 40 to 1, now if you liquidate it, which I'll be more than happy to do for you. Now if you liquidate it and then you buy gold, you're buying gold at half price, aren't you? Because you made 100% on your money with your silver in a few months. Then you swap it out for the safest thing on earth. But I still suggest that you do what everybody in the entire industry suggests. You buy about 5,000 ounces of silver for every ounce of gold, because gold's not really usable. Look, if you've got a kilo bar of gold, and that's at, I don't know, 62 grand right now or 70 grand right now, what happens if gold does go to 6,000? You got a $120,000 asset that you can stick in your pocket. 120,000, but what are you going to do with that? You going to go to the store with that? How the fuck are they going to make change for that? However, if you have an ounce of silver, or better yet, you have 5 grams of silver, which right now is a $5 bill. This is worth $5. This is 10 grams on the spot market. This is $10. So this is literally just like having a $5 and a $10 bill. Or you just, what, but you want a dollar? Okay, well, look, here's a dollar. It's 1 gram of silver. Could you use this as money? Of course you could. In Utah, you can actually go into stores and buy stuff with gold and silver in stores. And there are about 28 other states that are looking into doing that as well. I would. Just personally, I would. Look, gold's had a great run, and it's going to run some more, but it's not going to run as fast as silver will right now. Silver is about to just shoot up. Once it shoots up, once it hits an all-time high as well, which an all-time high for silver would have to be about $60. Once it hits 60 from 31, sell it back off again and put yourself back into gold. Why not? Yeah, just don't be a dip and wait for a big dip, because I think the days of big dips are coming to an end for a while. We'll see them again, but we may not see big dips for a while. Yeah, that's the thing, is if the internet goes down, you still have gold and silver, and people will take that as money. Believe me. What do I think about goldbacks? I wish that they had a better verification to them. I really don't know how they would do that, how they would verify that they're real, because the idea, like if it were me, okay, and I had a store, and let's say I were in Utah where goldbacks are legal tender, I guess what I would do is I would just literally buy a precious metals detector, and it's basically, it looks like a pen, and you put it on this flat surface, and Omega makes them. That's the company who makes most of them. You just put it on this flat surface, and then you run this thing across it, and then you watch the little meter boop, go into the green. If it goes into the green, then that is pure gold. And that would be a great way of verifying it. But if you don't have that, and somebody walks up and hands you gold backs, what do you do? Go for it, Rick. Talk to me. What's your question? Okay. I see a lot of people joining. I don't see his question. Talk to me, Rick. Talk to me, bro. What's going on? It's a long question, Rick. You only got 150 characters, bro. Unless, oh, there it is. Certification stamp. Can you talk about it? Certification. I don't even know what it is. What are your thoughts on crypto? I love crypto. I just wouldn't want to own it if the internet goes down. And there are 150 cyber experts around the country saying that there will be a catastrophic cyber attack. Period. Doesn't Constitution say something about gold and silver? Yeah, Tony. It's Article 1, Section 8, Clause number 5 says that states shall not make any money except for gold and silver coinage, and that the government will set the value, will coin money in gold and silver and set the value thereof. So when you see a gold eagle and it says $50 on it, according to the government, that's $50. What are 64 quarters worth? 90% silver. The last time I checked, they were worth about $4.64, and that was silver at 27 or 28. So by now they're probably worth, they're closing in on $5 a piece. An 1895 silver dollar. Do I know what it's worth? It's worth at least 25 bucks because that's what the silver is worth in it. I'd have to see the condition and I'd have to know which mint. Um, was a good URL to monitor the price of gold and silver. Uh, just Google it. I mean, they'll come up with 20 different websites you can check, and even a couple of widgets you can download, which is super cool. Let's see. Could we work out a trade for 4 ounces of gold for silver? Of course, absolutely. My number's in the bio. Shoot me a text tomorrow, and we'll figure out. We'll do a little swap. Um, I'll have plenty of extra silver laying around here shortly because I've got several clients that are sending me at this point hundreds of thousands of dollars each. My average new deal used to be 100 ounces. That was my minimum, and I had most of my people buying 100 ounces, which is great. That's awesome. Hey, if you got you know 3,400 bucks laying around that's not doing anything, don't buy a Sea-Doo, buy some silver, and then 2 years from now you can buy a couple of Sea-Doos or three or four of them once people have to sell them because they're bankrupt. So, but now all of a sudden I keep getting this magic number of between 500,000 and $1 million to start with. So people are waking up. They're starting to understand it. How is the gold price controlled? It could be a world. It is a world currency. It's just not one that's talked about much. 562 per 64 quarter. My God, that's amazing. Why silver over gold? Because gold always goes up first, but then silver always goes up after gold goes up, and it goes up faster and farther. I'll give you an example. The last time we had a stagflation like we're going into now was the 70s. And during the mid to late 70s, gold went up by 600%. No shit. Silver went up by 700% in the exact same amount of time. It's just a more usable metal and something that is used more in industry, especially for batteries. Hello, cars, etc. So there's a bigger usage for it because it doesn't have the same value as gold. Very few companies actually mine specifically for silver. They mine for gold, and then silver is like the icing on the cake. They get silver out of the same mine if they're lucky. But very few companies actually go in to a mine knowing that it's just a silver mine. So that makes it very rare because even though they produce as much or more silver every year as they do gold, the silver disappears into industry. Half of the world's production of silver is used for industrial purposes every year. So out of 1 billion ounces, well, now it's only 800 million ounces, but out of 800 million ounces, 500 plus million, poof, disappear. As soon as it comes out of the ground, it goes into wiring, and it goes into electric cars, all that stuff. Yeah, so you notice the sunburn. I'm in Arizona, and you always get sunburned in Arizona when it cools off because you go outside and you're like, oh fuck, it's so nice out here. It's only 90. It's not 115. And you go out there and you screw around in the garden for an hour or whatever. I was outside talking to some friends, and the next thing I know, I was like, God, I don't feel good, man. I've been out here for 2 hours. Yeah, I got scorched. Oh, my pleasure. How are diamond prices being impacted right now? Diamonds are a scam. Don't get involved. Um, wouldn't that make it more valuable? The silver? Well, as long as there's enough for production, it looks like we may have a little bit of a production squeeze next year, but I don't bet on that. Um, Dimitri, you don't actually believe that, do you? Do you really believe that? The Hunt brothers were the reason that silver went so high in the 70s? Then explain why gold went up the same amount. I'll wait. The Hunt brothers were billionaires. If there are 1 billion ounces of silver that come out of the ground every year, Do you have any idea how much money you'd have to corner the market and drive the price up? You'd have to have, back then in the 70s, about $100 billion at your disposal. But I understand why you think that, because that's the lie. That was what we were told. The truth is much darker. John Connally, they didn't even try. Dimitri, you got it all twisted, brother. That is absolutely not even close to what happened. You want to know what really happened? Remember, Texas oil men are the richest people in Texas. The Hunt brothers, Bunker and his brother, are also very wealthy. They have billions of dollars because of trucking. All those guys hang around together because it's actually a fairly small group. So, it's not a fact. Okay, do you want to tell me what happened, or would you like somebody in the silver business to explain to you what really happened? Because we can't do both. You can't tell me that unless, do you own a silver bullion company? Have you been doing silver bullion since the 80s? Are you a stockbroker? Do you have several billionaire oil men clients? Okay, shut up. Let me finish. The Bunker and his brother, the Hunts, along with John Connally, who hated the US federal government because he thought that they missed him that day in Texas and they were trying to kill him and Kennedy. On top of the fact that Texas, when it became a state, only became a state by proxy and said, we want to have the ability to go back to being our own country anytime we want. And the federal government at the time needed Texas so badly to become a state that they said, all right, tell you what, 99 years. 99 years. And if you haven't decided to become your own country in 99 years, you permanently become a state. And Texas said, okay, fair enough. We'll do that. Guess when 99 years was up, Dimitri? 1980. And guess who wanted to be the president of Texas, Dimitri? John Connally. And guess who wanted to back him? Because they were sick of all the bullshit in the United States. All the assassinations, the CIA, the fucking Vietnam War, all that crap. They were done with all of it. And they said, you know what? This is the last year that we can decide to become our own country, but we don't have enough money. Even if we got all the Texas oil guys together, we don't have enough money to buy enough gold to create a currency. And the Hunt said, well, we don't really need gold, do we? If we just bought a few $1 billion worth of silver, that would be enough to start our own currency. And it would be backed by a precious metal, which, by the way, the United States had just stopped doing a few years prior. And we could start our own country. And we'll have a precious metals backed currency that will just destroy the United States. Everybody will want Texas currency. And they got caught. And they got drug in to the federal government. Nobody knows which agency told them, but one of our alphabet agencies told them, look, you've got two choices now. We can either make sure that you don't become your own country by making you disappear, along with John Connally, who, by the way, died bankrupt and in a home with no furniture. That's how bad they went after Connally for this, because Connally didn't want to play ball. But the Hunts, they're businessmen. They said, okay, what do you want us to do? And they said, we want you to go into court and say you tried to corner the market. Now, anybody who has a calculator understands how idiotic that is. But it was the story. And it was the story that people were willing to accept. So that's what really happened. Texas was about to become their own country, like they probably should now. Except now they're locked in. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to own any commodity in a melt up, except maybe real estate. And that's only because supply and demand. And the supply is about to hit the fan. When I say the supply is about to hit the fan, what I mean by that is, if you look at Phoenix, Arizona, there are 8,900 Airbnb and whatever the other company. There are that many Airbnbs in this city, just Scottsdale, Phoenix, the surrounding area, not outside, not Arizona, just Maricopa County. None of those are renting right now. Those are all being just sort of pushed by the wayside by the owners. Like, oh shit, we were screwed up, man. during COVID, everybody thought if you buy an Airbnb, you get rich. Look, like you have, you got a $1,200 a month payment. You make your $1,200 a month payment, $1,500 a month payment. You pay your maids $500 a month because you live out of state. You live in Minnesota. Then you pay a management company a few $100s a month. You pay your insurance. Okay, once everything's said and done, you're still netting maybe $10,000 a year in cash flow on a house that's appreciating in value. Like, how the fuck is that not a great idea? Well, here's the problem. Nobody's renting Airbnbs because nobody can afford to. The government's lying about our situation. Nobody's going on vacation. We're all broke. Well, if we're all broke, who's going to rent those houses? Nobody. So now what happens? You still have the overhead. You just don't have that extra 10 grand. As a matter of fact, not only do you not have the 10 grand, you don't have the 12 grand a year that you're spending on overhead. Oh, so now you're losing 12 grand and your house isn't going to sell because every other Airbnb is now hitting the market as well. What are you going to do? You're going to make the payments for the next 8 years until it comes back to where it was. You're walking away. That's 8,900 potential foreclosures in Maricopa County, just from Airbnb, not from all of the job losses. Intel just announced thousands of layoffs here, just here in this city. There are people going out of business everywhere. Major institutions are shutting down after 80 years. Why? Because the market sucks. The job market sucks. The economy sucks. And that means that Airbnb is nationwide. How many of them? Who knows? Who knows? Like, there's Airbnb, that's the biggest, but there are others too. When you add all of them up, you're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of houses. You could be literally talking about 100,000 homes nationwide that hit the market just like that in foreclosure. Foreclosure rates just jumped up for the first time in 13 years. Since 2011, they just jumped up. Oops. That's not a good sign. Car repossessions are going up faster than they ever have in history, and people are literally losing full-time jobs and doing menial hustles on the side. And by the way, if you drive for Domino's Pizza and you drive an Uber on the weekends, but you were a mechanical engineer making $150,000 a year at Intel, the Biden White House doesn't count that as one job lost, because now you have two jobs. They look at that as one job gained. So this job market, this miraculous job market, it doesn't exist. Add on top of that the Bureau of Labor Statistics lied to the entire country and the Federal Reserve, which is insanely dangerous, and didn't report 818,000 jobs that were lost over the last year. It's a fucking shitstorm right now. So the only thing I can say is gold and silver for the time being. I mean, what else is there? Like, what can you, if somebody can tell me, hey, look, I've got a great idea. I'm going to invest in this. You should invest in this. Throw it at me. Japan's going to buy U.S. steel from China. That's interesting. If I have $600 a month to buy silver from you with, what would be your advice? Buy it. And call me. And the thing is, if it's only $600, that's a small amount, right? I mean, we both agree that's a small amount. But I have a guy who back in 2020 started buying about that same amount. And he's been buying that same amount, roughly between $600 and $1,000 worth of silver every month, religiously. Well, think about it. That was 48 months ago, and he was buying about, back then, 20 ounces a month. I think he's up to about 30 ounces a month now. He's got a decent amount of silver now. He's got over 1,000 ounces. And now he's feeling pretty damn good, because his, say, $30,000, $40,000 investment, actually it's more like $46,000 investment. His $46,000 investment is poised to go to 90 grand over the next 6 months. That's not bad. Can you yell at Dimitri again? Let's see. Silver will never be over 50 in our lifetime. Your wish has been granted. Dimitri, I don't know what you're smoking or what you're eating, but I can tell you this, whatever's in your water, it's toxic. Stop drinking the tap water. You must be from Ohio. How can I buy silver from you? Oh, my number's in the bio. Just don't let Dimitri see it. I'm just kidding, Dimitri. I love you. My daddy told me to take care of the infirmed and the idiots of the world. Dimitri. Hey. It's not with a Y. It's Dimitri with an I, for Christ's sakes. Get it right, Matt. God, you racist bastard. I think, and by the way, this is how goofy Europeans are. That shit actually matters. Like if you are Matosian, and it's Matosian with a Y-A-N as opposed to an I-A-N, then that means that you might be from Armenia, or you might be Turkish, in which case you don't want them to think that you're Armenian because of what happened back in the day. How long are you allowed to be on tonight? I don't know, man. They usually send me a thing after 45 minutes and they're like, or 90 minutes, and they're like, hey, man, are you okay? Are you still on live? But apparently I've been on for 2.5 hours now, and they're just letting me rant. So I guess somebody up there loves me today. Oh yeah, by the way, like and follow. For those of you who have, you're over 200 pounds. You can't possibly mean IQ. You got to mean pounds. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I've never. 200 viewers. Yeah, and by the way, I've never said this before. This is, how I talk about marketing. Oh, I'm a marketing genius. I can market anything. I consult with other companies how to market things. Do you realize that I have never, ever on a live stream, not once, you can't go back and look at my live streams on here, but you can on YouTube. I have never said this. Please follow me. I see people say that all the time when I'm scrolling through videos, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to follow that dude. I don't hit that little plus thing, and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of funny. I think next time he posts something, I want to see it. What the I've never said that. I've done hundreds of live streams. I have never said, please like, share, and subscribe. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you folks heard that this year? And Big and Corn Fed just said it for the first time ever. You've heard it a million times, but not from me. You can't see my face. Oh, that sucks for you because I'm handsome. Wait, Bruce. 4 of us are on YouTube. Oh, no shit. Hold on. Let me check my YouTube. Let me scoot back over to YouTube. Hello, live streaming. Oh, I see Saffron. Hey, can we trust places like One Gold? If I buy going forward, I wouldn't go this way, but just curious. No, Saffron. If you're going to buy, oh yeah, there it is. If you're going to buy from me. There you go. But I'd have to check them. I don't know. Yes, I am on YouTube. Did somebody say that? Did somebody just ask me? Tell them to hit the Cash App too. No. We don't mess around with Cash App. I don't want people to think I'm a prostitute. Not that that's what they use. Let's see. Never heard it from you. Perfect. Live on YouTube. Yes, I am live on YouTube under Big and Corn Fed. Some people can find me, some people can't. That's so strange. Let's see. Been following you for over a year now. Knowledgeable and fun. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because you don't need. Yeah, no, I do need it. New name. Not as Big Corn Fed. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Heathen helped me with my diet. Let's see. Do you send to UK? Officially, no, I can't do that because there's a value added tax, a VAT tax. Unofficially, hell yeah, baby. Send me an email or call me. Big and corn fed. Oh, and by the way, my email is bigandcornfed@gmail. I like to keep things simple, but yeah, send me we'll figure it out. I'll make sure. I'll make sure we get you some silver. What's wrong with Cash App? Oh, nothing. I was just screwing around because all the kids use it. Venmo, I actually do use Venmo. You're on your own YouTube. My own YouTube? You mean HowTube? I own HowTube. Well, I don't own all of it, but I own more of it than Jeff Bezos owns of Amazon. There's a little flex for you. Hey, Mary. Hi there. Look at that. I got two people on here. I'm feeling pretty froggy right now. That's awesome. Oh, and they're both pretty girls. I'm feeling pretty good. Yep. That's funny. On YouTube, I look a lot redder than I do on TikTok. It's the lighting, but I don't know why. It's the same lighting. Oh, I know exactly why. Because that's a 4K camera, and that's not a 4K camera at all. That is a beat up old cell phone. And just so you guys know, the reason that I still use this beat up old cell phone for my TikToks, I'm not sure I want to admit this, but I'm going to admit it anyway. I don't remember my password. And the reason I don't remember my password is because I'm a genius. And geniuses can remember everything, as we all know. My hot date was actually kind of hot. She's a sweet girl. She's 6 foot tall and Brazilian. It's kind of a fun situation there. But we'll see. Take it slow. I don't want her to think I'm easy. So I have about 25 different passwords that I use, and I've never written them down anywhere. I keep them in my head. Except I think I might have decided that because my TikTok was important, that I should come up with a new password. But at the same time I came up with this new password, I'm relatively certain that there was a squirrel, and I didn't pay attention to what it was. Not the squirrel. I paid very close attention. I always pay attention to squirrels and shiny objects, but I don't remember what I used for password. And it was unique. I wanted it to be unique. Easy. Well, it just really depends. There's nothing wrong with being easy. I just like to try to play a little hard to get at first. You like the way I said that, at first. I'm a whore once you get to know me, but just that the first couple dates, I like to play it cool. We should be married first, or at least know each other's middle names, whatever is cool with you. Dan Bongino. He used to annoy the shit out of me, but he's just sharp as a tack, so I like him now. But he used to be just like, fucking give me some more testosterone, goddammit. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Mellow out. We're not at the range. Maybe this silver 1000. No, I've got an idea, but it's not right. So that's the problem. How much is 1 kilo of Kate? Did you just ask me that to see if you could make my brain explode? I would have to literally, have to figure that out, because 925 is sterling, or 91% sterling. No, I think 925 is sterling. So it's sterling. So it's not what I normally use, because I normally go by spot price. So a kilo would be 31 ounces, basically. So that would be easy, but that's 999 fine. Yours is sterling, so it's different. But I can do it. You just send me a text. Very strange looking bug flying around my house. We have some weird bugs in Arizona. You have to understand that to survive in Arizona, you got to be a badass. So, like these cute little bunnies you see running around, oh, they're adorable and they're fluffy. But let me tell you something. When you see one of those things sprint straight into a fucking cholla, choyas have these long, thin, insanely sharp, barbed needles. Like if you just tried to touch one just to see what it felt like, as soon as you touch it, you pull away, and a big ball of them, like a ping pong ball, completely covered with them, comes away from the cactus and hits your hand. And now you have 40 or 50 of them stuck in the palm of your hand. And if you shake it, you just get more and more. So somehow a rabbit's fur is so soft, a kilo is 2.2 pounds. Dimitri, 2.2 pounds. Avoirdupois, or are you talking about Troy? You see, I can make your fucking life tough too. Ha 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 ha. I read that they're not barbed, rather that they're hollow, and that's what causes them to stick. No shit. Well, there you go. I just assumed. I just assumed that they were barbed because they are so hard to pull. Like I've had them in my fingers and hands and shit. And when you pull on them, you can actually see your skin like getting pulled up. It's like, okay, let fucking go of me. They're nasty. There's a great picture of a golfer. If you haven't figured this out, I don't like golf at all. I think it's a complete and utter waste of fucking time. But I saw a drunk golfer, which means basically a golfer, who went to pick up his ball and leaned forward, and he was so drunk he fell into a cholla, and he is completely covered down one side with cholla, and it's just and the paramedics are there looking at him, and they're just like, "Fuck, dude, this is gonna be long and painful." Military question, okay. I get his. Can you get them? I don't know. Getting your own is easy enough, but you just request them. But yeah, I'm sure you can. Absolutely. You might have to get a lawyer to tell you how to do it, or you know what? Fuck lawyers, they're idiots. Get a paralegal. Paralegals do all the work. A cholla is a form of cactus. It's CHOLLA. Yeah, I know. Brad, you're thinking, wait, why would you? Because L's are oi in Spanish, just like J is H. So it's not Jesus, it's Jesus. Let's see. I know a guy who got his entire left side cut off. Only Jay Bishop would say that. I was in high school with him. I joined the Marine Corps because of him. He was actually my hero. Now, he's just a pain in my ass, mostly. Actually, still kind of like my big brother. I was thinking porcupine. Why were you thinking about a porcupine? You're a weird dude thinking about porcupines. Although, look, I've gone out with some crazy girls, but that takes dangerous sexual adventures to a whole new level if you're thinking about porcupines. Let's see, change the subject for a minute. Anything happening with the magnetic field in the poles? You fucker, you had to just go and throw that out because you know I can't resist that, right? You know, I'm like a sucker for that. Okay. Yes, the poles are shifting. They started shifting, strangely enough, in about 1859, which is when the Carrington event happened. Coincidence? We don't know. That's not science that anybody even has a slightest idea about. But we do know that the poles are shifting. We know that the poles are speeding up. As they're shifting, they're moving faster and faster. Now, what's really odd is that I'm an idiot because I had a globe that wasn't in a stand because I was going to set it here so I could use it when I talked about this, but I left it somewhere else. Anyway, so the magnetic North Pole is heading down through Siberia. It's going to be passing through China on its way to Indonesia. At the same time, the South Pole has now left Antarctica. It's not even on the ice sheet, it's in the Southern Ocean. And it's also moving towards Indonesia based on the amount of speed that the North Pole is gaining every year, and the fact that the South Pole seems to be very steadily moving. Slowly, it looks like they're going to meet. And this is a very odd thing that nobody's really like, dude, the best scientists in the world, the best geologists in the world, the best oceanographers in the world are all working on this. Do you remember back in 2006, that massive, massive underwater earthquake in Indonesia that caused the tsunami that killed like 225,000 people in a day? That exact fault line is where these two points are going to meet. But as you know, north and south magnetic poles, if you try to push north and north together, or excuse me, north and south together, they repel each other. Well, if these two parts of the pole, which are a bipolar system, like my friend Jay, they're bipolar, then something's got to give. Well, interestingly enough, on the opposite side of the world from Indonesia, directly opposite side of the globe, is the South Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Brazil. Now, what's really weird is that off the coast of Brazil for the last few years, there's been what they call the South Atlantic magnetic anomaly, where the magnetic protection from space radiation has weakened, and you get now about 400% more radiation from standing on the beach in Rio than you did 10 years ago. Now, this South Atlantic magnetic anomaly is spreading out. It's almost reached South Africa now. So it's getting bigger, and it's directly across from. We don't know what the fuck is going to happen. That's the problem. Nobody has ever, humans weren't alive the last time this happened. So everybody's got a theory, and they all make perfect sense once you hear them out. But they can't all be right because they are very, very different. Waco, Texas will be the new North Pole. No, but I like your thinking. You want to be Santa Claus. You're a giver. I dig that. I'm on board. What is my theory? All right. Well, as you know, Ben Davidson is a very close friend of mine. SuspiciousObservers.com and Suspicious Observers on YouTube. And he and I talk about this quite a bit. And basically, but by the way, this isn't just because of Ben. This is also because I study different things. Like Ben is very, very, very focused on the Earth, the change of and the sun, and the relation between the two. And he is probably farther ahead in that than almost anyone else in the world, including NASA. And I say that honestly. I'm not saying like, oh, he's smarter than the guys. I'm saying that there have been several times now where he or I have gone to NASA to explain what he has figured out, and they fucking laughed at us. Literally laughed out loud. And then within 5 or 10 years, it's become settled science. He's right. Or in this case, in one of those cases, we were right. And the one where he was right was really amazing because I literally said to the guys at NASA, what do you think about the effects of a micronova on Earth? And this is in Washington, D.C. This is like NASA, not some guy with a NASA t-shirt at a beer fest. And they said, well, there's no such thing. And I said, well, you don't think that once you get above about an X1000 solar flare, that would be considered a micronova? Like you would blow off the entire shell in such a manner that it would be considered a nova? And they started laughing, and they said, there's no such thing as a micronova. A nova is catastrophic. If a star goes through nova, even our own sun, it's over. And I said, okay, so you don't think there's micronovas? They were like, clearly not. That was 2015. Guess what? we've discovered that there are novas from X1000 up all the way to supernovas. And supernovas are where the star blows up. Well, we've actually witnessed now over the last 20 years with really strong telescopes that there are stars that go nova all the time and they disappear. And they used to assume that that star's gone. But then if you keep watching that same spot, all of a sudden the dust clears from the explosion and you can see the star again. Oh my goodness, it's still there, but it went nova. Well, it didn't go supernova. Well, I guess we'll call it a micronova. That actually happened. The other one was actually kind of common sense, but David and I worked on, or Ben and I worked on this, and that was climate change. Now, this is super controversial. It'll be settled science in 10 years, and we'll all think that Al Gore is a complete asshole for lying to us. But in the meantime, it's super controversial. No, Nibiru and Nemesis, not going to happen. So it's, I said to NASA, what do you think about the sun's effect on our climate? And they said, the sun doesn't have any effect on climate. It's 93 million miles away. I mean, it's not that big a star and it's not that strong. It has literally no effect on our weather whatsoever. Okay, well, that was 10 years ago. In the last 10 years, there have been probably, if I had to guess, I know that there are 11 that I've looked at, but there are probably 30 plus papers written by universities around the world, all different nations, and they all agree that the Earth's climate is moderated and modulated by the sun. Well, what's that do to climate change? It means that climate change is real and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. So stop worrying about it, because if the ice caps melt, then the overturning, the Atlantic overturning conveyor belt of fresh water stops flowing. And when it stops flowing, we go into an ice age. Yeah, that's why in the 70s, everybody was warning about the coming ice age. And then in 2000, Meathead came out with his inconvenient truth and doctored up a bunch of stuff that was not quite accurate, but it was close enough that it fooled the idiots. And then they made it obvious that if you were a professor and you happened to be in meteorology or you studied any kind of climatology, you better get on board, because if you're not on the train, motherfucker, you're under it. And we will run you over. We will pull all your grants. We will pull all of your, we'll pull everything. And we'll make sure that you literally get fired from your university. And everyone who disagreed with that narrative, does this sound familiar? Does this sound like COVID? Does this sound kind of like COVID, where people said, hey, what if we don't want to get vaccinated? And everybody said, oh, if you don't wear a mask, if you don't get vaccinated, if you don't keep a 6-foot distance from everybody, then you should be thrown in jail. Fuck your rights. Think about the people around you. And now we look back just a few years later and we're like, holy shit, that was all made up bullshit. None of it was true. And now Biden's on his 6th booster, Fauci's on his 4th booster, and they both had COVID recently. When I got COVID, I thought, Jesus Christ, man, I've had hangovers worse than this. Now, granted, I looked it up after the fact because I couldn't look it up during, because there was literally no way to look this up until after COVID was over. I looked it up. Do you know how terrifying COVID is to a man my age? Only 99.96% of guys my age survived it. Yeah. 4 out of every 1,000 men died. You wanted me to lock myself in my house? You wanted me to tell my children they couldn't live with me and they had to go live with their mother because I was at high risk because of my age? Are you fucking kidding me? You ruined my personal life and made my children leave my home because you were guessing? You tell me why I don't trust the government. Why I don't trust anything these assholes say. Oh, I don't trust scientists. Look, if you're being funded by the government, you're lying, period. It didn't used to be that way back when scientists were actually scientists. Now they're just stooges. So when I see an independent university that's not getting government funding say, oh, yeah, actually, it's funny because and by the way, this is from today. This is from a university in China, and this is today. They looked back over the last 400 years and found that the oscillation of solar minimum and solar maximum directly correlated with climate change. Oh, yeah. Hey, sun gets fired up. It gets warmer within about a year. Goes down, cools off, goes into a sleep mode for a few years. Earth cools down. What? What are the odds that that huge ball of flaming gas next to us has any control over whether or not we're hot or cold? It's beyond dumb. How many people died of influenza? Oh, well, yeah. That year, I mean, that's the thing, is that I remember at the end of the year, I looked that stat up on the CDC website. You know what it said? For flu deaths, which are normally in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands, 0. They had 0 deaths from flu. I swear to God, when I looked it up, I was like, how is that possible? Like flu was coming over, and then it got here, and COVID was like, look, bitch, this is my year. This is my fucking world. You got to wait until next year. And the flu was like, shit. Well, we've had a good run since 1918, I guess. All right, man, good luck. We'll come back when you're done. Is that what happened, really? Like the viruses talked to each other and we're like, nah, we can't hit these fuckers up all at the same time. There won't be any of them left. All right, you go first. I'll wait a couple of years. Because that's what it looks like based on the statistics. Unless, of course, they just fucked us and lied and said, oh, no, you've got COVID. Wait, I fell off my motorcycle and broke my toe. Yeah, you got COVID. We did a test. But I feel fine. Now, you're not arguing with the science, are you? Tony Fauci, God, Tony Fauci, Jesus, all the rest of them. Fauci. It's like, oh, well, he is science. He said so himself. I am the science. So is still bedridden after she took the booster. Oh, well, that's a whole other issue. I am really sorry to hear that, but I've heard that from a lot of people. That's something that they're having a hard time suppressing right now. But you know what? Good news. If they kick off World War III, say, between now and the election, then we don't have to worry about that because nobody's going to give a shit about your kids or mine. All they're going to care about is war, baby. So, again, because I've said this many times, Joe Biden steps down sometime in the next couple of weeks, maybe a month. And then right before the election, Kamala Harris becomes commander-in-chief. And then the shit hits the fan in the Middle East, and she's commander-in-chief. How many times have we kicked a wartime president out of office? 0. That's a 0. Lincoln was absolutely certain he was going to lose the election during the Civil War. Nope, didn't happen. We don't kick out wartime presidents. So easy, right? I mean, it's just like the low-hanging fruit, baby. It's so easy. You just walk right into office. You didn't even have to get a primary. You didn't get primaried. You didn't have to get any votes. You just became president, and then boom, you stayed president. Well, you just told her. Remember, she can read these comments too. So you just told her to take ivermectin and zinc and get vitamin D. Which, by the way, go out in the sun for 20 minutes a day. Not 2 hours like this idiot did the other day. Remind me of comedian Bill Burr. God, that is a huge compliment. I love that guy. I think he is so quick-witted. He's funny as hell. Someday when I grow up, I want to be like him. Except I'm way the same amount as 2 of him. Yeah, that is a hell of a compliment, isn't it? Shit. You remind me of that guy. What was his name? Kind of like Stephen Hawking or Einstein. Yeah, it's like, okay. You, you don't see me when I'm being dumb. Well, obviously you did. I have to keep this phone so I can do TikToks because I can't remember the fucking password. And that is the problem with having a great memory. It says when you grew up, I haven't grown up. Clearly, are you not watching this live stream? It's like if you took Einstein's brain and mixed it up with Dennis the Menace. That's me. I like that. I think that sums me up. I'm half Dennis the Menace and I'm half Einstein. I'm joining late. I believe Kamala will be installed as president. Well, I just said that same thing. I even explained how. LSU UCLA game Saturday. You actually think I'm going to watch that? Not a chance. Einstein the Menace. I like it. Einstein the Menace. We're twins. That's okay, Chris. You can get a facelift. You don't have to look like this. I just don't want to waste the money yet. Although I am thinking about getting my ears pinned back because, they stick out a little bit. I'm just kidding. Let's see. What's wrong with ivermectin? Mexico was giving it to people for COVID. Yeah, ivermectin won a Nobel fucking prize. It's a great medicine. Just don't take a lot of it. And some people get kind of sick when they take it, but it does seem to cure a lot of things, cancer. But we're going to find out about that in the coming years. There are people that seem to think that. Annie, there you are. You know what's funny? You don't show up in my feed afterwards when they say, hey, these are all the people that were on your thing. And I go back and I look through and I see the comments again and try to read see if I missed them. You were not on there. You are a ghost. Do you have stock in oil companies? No, absolutely not. Are you a Sagittarius? Almost. Sagittariuses are crazy. I'm a Capricorn. We're supposed to be very, stalwart and trustworthy, but also boring. So I can tell you that I'm trustworthy, but boring may not be the right adjective. Guess what you are? Hot. Is that a sign? Hot? Yes, a dosage for a doggy. That's what it looks like you're saying. Like give your dog a dose of ivermectin. Let's see. Segs. Let's see. You even look like a grown-up version of Dennis the Menace. Let's get a little cowlick going here. I used to have a cowlick. It was really bad and it stuck up back here. And they used to, oh my God, my mom would, and it's like, oh, come on, Mom. Really? Why don't you just spit on me? I didn't ever said that because she would have. Oh, okay, honey. So, Capricorn. You see, it never made sense to me because I read about Capricorns and they're like, oh, you'd make a great CPA. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Sitting and staring. I almost finished that sentence before I realized how stupid that sounds. Sitting and looking at numbers all day. That's what I fucking do for a living. I literally study now, but it's different. It's different. It's not, I don't know. Maybe it's not different. Okay. You know what? Maybe I am a Capricorn. Shit. Do I, sun-kissed orange. Oh, those are my favorite. They're not like they used to be though, but they're okay. Let's see, alfalfa. Yeah. You're a fish sign. There's only one Pisces, right? Is there another fish? It's gotta be Pisces. Numbers are divine. They don't lie. Numbers are awesome. Do you know if oil companies have regulations on how close communities they can drill? Yeah, I'm sure there are tons of regulations. Smart with money, but crazy. Yeah, that works. Let's see. Sun-kissed oranges. I know. It's fucking funny, man. I mean, okay, I got sunburned. Oh God, my fucking forehead actually hurts. And like right under here, and then like here, and like right. Not so much here or here, but like right here, it hurts. Um, how did you get sunburned? By being an idiot. Let's see, is there a generic brand of ivermectin? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is there? I'm sure there is. I went outside yesterday. And it was a day where it wasn't 115, so I was standing outside talking to people. And the next thing I know, after about an hour and a half of standing out there talking, I was like, "Wow, man, I'm starting to. Whew, I don't feel good." And luckily, I hopped on my motorcycle while I was dizzy, and went down to the store and got myself a lot of water and drank it. Good night, Larry. I burn after 15 minutes. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Oh, I you got to have a motorcycle. If you don't have a motorcycle, I pity you. I mean, literally, I feel sad for you. A man without a motorcycle is like a man without a dog. Yeah, yeah, that's a ticket. A dog. I have three dogs, and I have a Yamaha 1300 FJR 1300, a sport cruiser. It's sport for sure. It's 140 horsepower. It hauls ass. It's so much fun to ride. I love it. I used to ride a lot of crotch rockets, but after a while, it just gets kind of, I'm just too big. 6'7" does not work on a sport bike. See, R7, now that's a fun bike to ride. A VTX, that's a fun bike too. See, the only motorcycles kill. Yeah, I know. And forks make you fat. And pencils misspell stuff. Have 7 dogs. I think you're going a little overboard there, Harrington. I run AZ Riders group here. 40 riders, Sunday, left Roadhouse. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hey, buddy, how are you? You and I talked at the Roadhouse. That was fun. One of these days, I'm going to jump in there and ride with you guys. But, I mean, I think you guys leave at like 6 a.m. Jay, that's just obscene. I can't believe that I'm offended. Trying to make me out to be some kind of slut. Motorcycle, get lower carbon footprint tax. I don't think so. Guns kill too. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was walking by a gun the other day and it tried to attack me. Thank God I'm quick. I was like, hey, oh, you're not loaded, or you would have killed me, son of a bitch. I can't trust others on the road. Spaz, that's the whole point. You don't trust others on the road. Life's a fucking video game, bro. Play it. They also proved, by the way, in Japan, they did a study of 10,000 motorcycle riders, some of whom hadn't ridden in years. Men who have ridden motorcycles make decisions an average of 45% faster than men who don't ride motorcycles. Yeah, motorcycles matter. Don't say the G word. Brother, you got me on that one. Oh, that's not. Oh, Amanda. Sorry. Called you brother. Sister. That doesn't mean a lot because oh, pew pew. I see what you're saying. Thank you. Right, because you can't say those naughty words. What was I thinking? Oh, you know what's fun though? I'm about to get off of this and go have a cigar. My nightly cigar ritual. I'm going to sit outside and I'm going to listen to the music from the Roadhouse. I can hear the band from my porch because it's just right on the other side of this little rise. So I'm going to listen to the music. I'm going to have myself a Diet Dr. Pepper, which is so bad for you. Don't drink Diet Dr. Pepper unless, of course, you were fat like I was at 328, and now you're down to 285 and losing weight fast. And the reason that I'm poisoning myself with this crap is because I just want something that tastes kind of sweet. And I know it's poison, but guess what? There's 0 calories and no carbohydrates. So for the next month or so, I'm going to keep drinking this poison. And then when I'm allowed to have carbs again, I won't ever touch it again because it tastes like shit, really. But it's just, I mean, 285, now 210. Nice. Harrington, way to handle it, man. That's shit. That's more than 10 pounds. I know. I'm just funny. With 75 pounds is not a joke. That's actually how much I'm losing. Paleo, yes. I'm doing paleo, keto, whatever, it's all the same shit basically. Just don't eat carbs. But on top of that, I'm still doing intermittent fasting. But what I found that for some reason, if I eat between 2 and 3 pounds of meat at one sitting, I'm not hungry for quite a while. Today it was 2 pounds of carne asada steak, grilled up in a pan with a bunch of vegetables, onions, some mushrooms, I think it's called majoram. I don't know. What do I know? But I'm missing a vegetable. There's another vegetable in there, but mushrooms and onions. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, I sauteed it all up in a pan and literally I put half of it in a bowl because I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to eat all of this. So then I went back and got the rest and put it in the bowl and ate that too. Maybe it was bell pepper. It's probably, yeah, because look, once you saute that shit, you put a little taco seasoning, and it was already carne asada, so it had all the Mexican stuff in it. But once you go like Mexican squared and you uber Mexican that shit up, it's perfect. It's like the best thing ever. Oh God, Mexicans and Italians. If it weren't for them, do you know how bland a Polak like me's diet would be? I mean, think about it. We put Polish sausage into basically everything. Jay, I already fucking know there's a comment coming about my Polish sausage. Shut up, dude. It's so hard having one of your high school buddies on a live stream because I already know his sense of humor. And as soon as I said that, I was like, oh yeah. And I put my Polish sausage in everything. And I could actually hear him in his little pinhead voice going, oh, really? What's his name? I swear to God, that is like Jay right now is about to piss his pants laughing because that's exactly what he would have said. Oh, God. Why, if I'm so smart, why do I hang around with idiots? What is that about? Oh, I know, because I'm not that smart, but the dumber the people I hang around with, the better I feel. No, that's not it, because we don't see each other that much. It's just, I don't know. What do you do? Yeah, I'll tell you how smart he is. We both joined the Marine Corps. We were all thinking it. That is awesome. A smart grunt. I know. And fucking jumbo shrimp, baby. Military intelligence. Eat deer. I'll send you a butchered deer for silver. I might take you up on that. What state are you in, man? Like if you're in Ohio or West Virginia, I ain't eating your deer because that shit's toxic. It's been eating like Teflon coated grass its whole life. And then it probably glows in the dark. Oh, in Maryland, I don't know. Maryland, how many toxic waste sites are in Maryland? Other than the Capitol, because all Capitol buildings are full of toxic waste. Squeaky Johnson, what a great name. Okay, wait. Okay, hold on. Totally with you on the Mexican food. Yeah, I know. I know that there is one mom and pop Italian place left in Phoenix that I'm aware of. Well, that's not true. There are several around me, but it just depends. If you want to spend $100 on dinner by yourself, there's plenty of places to go around here. Oh shit, that's right. There's also I forget the name. It's owned by a 90-year-old Italian man and his wife. She's probably 80. She looks great for 80. God, she looks like she's probably 40. And they are always there every night. It's a very small place. God, I haven't gone there in a long time. Well, of course I haven't because I can't eat pasta. All right. Let's stop talking about that then. hard not to eat Mexican in Arizona, and the food is good too. Um, oh Lord, what are the names? I'm looking to new places to go. Um, I don't even remember. Harold's has great meatballs. Oh God, Andy, don't even fucking get me started. Look, I've had a lot of bar food there that's not great. The prime rib, it's like they decided, okay, we're gonna make one thing really good, and it's gonna be the prime rib for Thursday. I think it's Thursday, and that's it. Everything else is bar food. So I'm not going to recommend the meatballs to all my followers until I have them first, because that scares me. Harold's is it's a great place to dance. They got some pretty decent live country music. Um, if you want to talk to former members of three-letter agencies, a lot of them hang out there. I don't know why, but that's just the reality. Taco Bell, how dare you? How dare you? Amanda, you should be ashamed of yourselves. It's called Taco Bell. Taco. That's clearly Spanish. And by the way, their fire sauce is the best damn thing ever. I mean, I know guys who are chefs and they still love to eat fire sauce on their Mexican food. The prime rib is awesome. I know. And I'm thinking maybe this week, if I don't have to run to, I probably have to run to California to get silver and gold. But if I don't, Thursday, I'm gonna go tear me some prime rib up. They're gonna say, well, how would you like it done? And I'm gonna say, fucking huge and rare. Um, what most people think of as Mexican food is actually Tex-Mex. Well, let me tell you something there, Bacon. Tex-Mex is awesome too. Like Tejano culture is so awesome. If I don't marry another crazy girl who I'm afraid to sleep next to for fear she might kill me, I'm gonna find myself a Tejano girl, a Texas Mexican girl. They're amazing people, super cool. Unless Saffron or Mary's not busy, and maybe I'll. No, they probably are too smart for that. Well, look at this. I got 250 people for 2 hours. Oh shit, three. Oh my god, what time is it? I've been on here for 3.5 hours. Is that true? Nobody's been on here with me that long. That's impossible. I could eat anything on a Taco Bell menu. Yeah. Well, that's the problem. See, I don't have the problem. I can eat cans, whatever. I can eat anything. Yep, I got to go too. It's getting late, and we're gonna have this. We're gonna do this again tomorrow night, as always. I'll be on here precisely at 7 ish in there. It's hard because I normally it's like, okay, I'm gonna have dinner, or if I'm with my son, and then it's like, oh shit, it's 7:05, and I run in here and get everything ready. So, but I will be here right exactly at 7 ish. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoyed talking about everything except silver tonight and the economy, but you know what? Sometimes it's fun to just talk about fun shit. Enough serious stuff. That we'll save that for tomorrow. Good night. All right. This has been awesome. I don't know if I can't tell if you guys are still on here with me, Mary, Saffron. I think you are, but if you are, then I had fun. Thank you for both being beautiful and very cool. And I am going to I'm gonna have a Dr. Pepper and a cigar, and then I'm going to start to wind down. I find that having a live stream super fun. Like it keeps me on my toes. It's like me going out. I don't go out on Friday nights. I don't go out on Saturday nights. I'm not a bar guy. But this for me is more fun anyway. So I get to do this, and that's really cool. But when you're coming down from it, it's almost like when you've been driving for a long time and you sit down, and you're like, okay, I'm good. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna go do. Decompress, and then I'll do some more nerd shit. I will do some more research, and then I will read. Does that make me sound like a nerd? Because I kind of feel like a nerd when I talk about that. Yesterday, that guy on the live stream totally outed me. That was funny. He was like, "Oh, you're the kind of guy who reads textbooks, huh?" And I was like, "Oh shit, are there some in the bookshelf behind me?" And then I realized, yeah, there's at least one that I can see in the camera. All right. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Thank you for being on the live stream. See you soon.